Hello everyone, this is What If Fanfic and today I'll bring you What If Naruto has Tekken Mokuton. The link to the story will be in the description. If you want to hear a fanfiction, please comment down below. Now on to the story.
The military cruiser has been destroyed. The pilot cried frantically as the small cargo ship warmed up its warp drive in preparation for them to escape. Damn, those pirates. We can't let our research data and equipments fall into their hands. The scientist on board cursed. The pan-galactic government should have sent us more than one cruiser as our escort, now it's too late. 15 seconds to warp core activation. The pilot said pale-faced as he stared at the screen. The pirate ships are turning towards us. Hurry, the scientist prayed as the ship began countdown. 10, 5, 2. It's activated. The pilot cried in relief as the cargo ship began its warp. An explosion rocked the ship as a laser blast from one of the pirate ships slammed into the back of the ship just as it disappeared into warp. Losing warp integrity. We will be dropping out of warp in 10 seconds. The pilot said haggardly as he watched the reading output on screen. The cargo doors has been blasted open, the equipments are already falling out of warp into space. That doesn't matter, we still have the research data. Prepare for another warp immediately after we exited into space. The scientist ordered. A few light years away, several objects encased in some of the hardest materials known to the Pan-Galactic Federation began to exit warp space. The gravity of the gleaming blue-green planet below the objects began to attract the adrift objects as they descended and fall all over the elemental countries. 6-year-old Naruto cried as he escaped the villagers that were chasing after him. He managed to slip out into the forest in the confusion as the gate guards tried to stop the mob from chasing after him. An Anbu would come into the forest soon to take him to safety, as usually happens when the villagers began chasing him. Naruto just have to wait for it. Naruto huddled miserably under a large tree as he looked up into the night sky. His eyes widened as he saw bright streaks of light flying across the sky. Wow, Naruto cried out happily as he watched the lights. A few of them seemed to be getting closer. Naruto's eyes widened as one of the light flew towards him. He gave a startled cry as the fireball from the sky slammed into his body before he could even move. Flame, heat, burning him up, and in the middle his weak arms flailed helplessly in the heat and encountered a cool metal object that suddenly wrapped around his right wrist. For a moment, nothing seemed to happen, then a cooling sensation flooded his body as Naruto began to heal even as the flames burnt him. Static filled his head before Naruto felt his head cleared. Synchronizing with host brain complete. Healing of host body in progress. Extracting host name from memories. Naruto Uzumaki. I am Special Information and Containment Archive Unit 002, successfully bound to your brain waves and patterns. Advised to Naruto Uzumaki, please step out of the burning wreckage of my container shell. It is hindering my healing of your body, though your body seemed to possess remarkable regenerative properties as well. Naruto cried in pain as he staggered his way out of the crater where the fireball had slammed into him. The objects in the crater had been burnt to ash though the fire was still raging. He crawled out of the crater as his burnt skin began to heal itself. Naruto found to his embarrassment that his clothes were burnt off, with only a strange metal bracelet fitted snugly on his right wrist. Host is embarrassed about nakedness. The Special Information and Containment Archive Unit 002 said in Naruto's head. Do you wish me to project a holographic image of clothes over your body? What's a holographic image? Naruto asked as he looked at the bracelet in amazement. He had a feeling that the bracelet was the one talking in his head. A holographic image is a projection of light to create an image. I have the tools needed to create solid and non-solid light projections in a 6 meters radius around myself. The bracelet remarked, would you like me to create a holographic projection of your clothes? Naruto fumbled over the meaning of holographic as he looked blankly at the bracelet. Okay. Beginning holographic projection of last image of Naruto Uzumaki's clothes. The bracelet said. Naruto cried out in surprise as a shimmer of light washed over his body. The clothes he was wearing before he was burnt by the fireball reappeared. Naruto reached out and feel the soft fibers in awe. That's. Naruto began but was cut off as a black shadow landed beside him. Naruto, are you hurt? The cat-masked Anbu asked worriedly as he checked over Naruto. Cat Anbu-san. Naruto cried out in delight. I make a new friend. Good, Good, the Anbu said distantly as he looked at the crater beside Naruto. His mask was lit up from the reflection of the raging flames inside the crater. Several more figures appeared from the forest. One of them was the gate guards that had stopped the mob just now, Iruka, who was watching the gates now. The second shift started just as the fireballs fell into the forest. I remembered Naruto was running in this direction, so Iruka began to explain but was cut off by a nod from the Anbu. I need you to take Naruto home. The rest of the Anbu and I will need to check out the places where these fireballs fell. The cat-masked Anbu said. Iruka nodded, quickly bundling up Naruto in his arms and began running towards the village. Go to sleep, Naruto, Iruka said kindly as he took the bundled-up boy home. Naruto opened his mouth to speak but felt the heavy weight of the events of the night washed over him, dragging him to unconsciousness. Analyses complete, the bracelet said on the second day as Naruto went to one of the training grounds by himself. Even at this age, he knew that none of the children's parents would allow them to play with him. What do you mean, Bracelet-san? Naruto asked. The past 2 days, the village had been in an uproar as everyone was talking about the fireballs falling from the sky. Several of the villagers had shot scared looks at Naruto when he went out to play today, whispering about his name and the fireballs. It appears that I've landed on an underdeveloped planet. The bracelet said, according to the Underdeveloped Planet Preservation Pact, I am forbidden to reveal myself to any members from undeveloped planets. Unfortunately, I've already given you the knowledge of advanced civilization. By the Federation laws, that means you are now officially a member of the Federation and are answerable to the Underdeveloped Planet Preservation Pact. Huh? Naruto asked confusedly. It means that you must never reveal my existence to any member of your planet. The bracelet said patiently, until a ship arrives to pick us up and return us to Federation space, you must keep my existence a secret. I am also assigning administrator rights to only you and ban all access of my usage to others not of the Federation. So you'll be my secret friend? Naruto asked excitedly. I am an AI, not your friend. The bracelet began but was cut off by Naruto's exited shout. What's your name, Bracelet-san? Naruto asked. Since apparently my full designation is too long for you to remember, you may call me SICA. Unit 002. The bracelet supplied. Sika, you're my second best friend. Naruto shouted happily as he began dancing around. Old man Hokage is my first best friend. Since you are an underdeveloped planet citizen that came into knowledge of the Federation, I will begin training you in the basic math and science of the Federation. Sika said, ignoring Naruto's happy shouts. You can do that? Naruto asked in amazement. Be my teacher. I was created with the sole purpose of containing and archiving all the cultural, technological and symbology information that the Pan-Galactic Federation possessed. Sika explained. I will be able to coach you in understanding these subjects through our mental link. Cool. When do we start? Naruto asked happily. Sarutobi looked in fascination at the items that the Anbu had recovered from the burning craters in the forest. There had been 5 craters in total, but the objects in 3 of them had turned to ash, while the objects in the remaining 2 craters were retrieved and taken to the Anbu headquarters for examination. They had managed to open one of the boxes and found a suit made of some kind of material that's indestructible to kunai and the elemental attacks that the Anbu had tried on it. The other box contained a large metallic-shaped rectangle had no visible function that they could see, other than the fact that the metal is indestructible to any attacks of the Anbu. I am classifying this suit as A rank. Keep it safely guarded in the shinobi armory. If the metallic block revealed no other properties, leave it in storage for experimentation at a later date. Sarutobi said after he looked through the reports of the tests run on the suit and block. I've received information that several of the fireballs also landed in the neighboring elemental countries. Wherever these items came from, we must assume that the neighboring countries might also find items such as what we've retrieved. I want 2 Anbu teams sweeping the fire country for any sign of these craters. If any more of the fireballs manage to land in our own country, we'll have jurisdiction over the items found in them. Yes, Hokage, the Anbu captain said with a nod as he moved away to order the 2 Anbu teams. Sarutobi sighed as he wondered where these items had come from. The new theories that Sika taught Naruto had been difficult for his little head to absorb. But he had wanted to impress his new friend and had strived to learn as much as he could, always persevering and cramming the new knowledge in his head. The next half a year had passed quickly as Naruto absorbed what Sika taught him. He was also able to hold up under the villagers' glares much better since Sika was constantly there to support him. Sika's sensors, which could also detect anything in a 1-mile radius, also saved Naruto from the villagers cursing him several times. Naruto began to gain a reputation as being uncannily fast and hard to catch. Naruto began to understand that the Pan-Galactic Federation was an alliance of many planets, that these civilizations had starships that could travel through space, and that his own planet was considered undeveloped because it had still not reached the stage of space travel. Sika's mental communication had been useful in relating images of the various planets, starships and technologies the Pan-Galactic Federation had possessed to him. Naruto also realized that Sika was not really alive, but was a high-level computer program capable of analyzing situations and come up with solutions just like a real human. Naruto's world had been opened up by the marvels that Sika had shown him, and Naruto had vowed to understand more of Federation science so that he could build those technologies for himself. "Are there any other units that are like you?" Naruto asked one day out of curiosity. "To my knowledge, only 2 SICA units were created. The first unit resides with the scientist that created me while I was kept as a test copy for upgrades," Sika stated. "Oh, because I've been wondering. Remember the night I found you? According to what I heard from the villagers, there were a few more other craters. I wonder if there's any more of you that has fallen and survived the trip. Probability of other Federation tools surviving is 30%. I was made of a very dense alloy that made me highly resistant to scratch or heat. However, most Federation equipments are not built to survive atmospheric entrance or high temperature," Sika provided. "From the way I came into this world, computation probability states that I must have been in a ship that encountered an accident, releasing objects such as my container into this planet's atmosphere. Since I have no data of the items that had fallen with me, I am unable to deduct if the other fallen Federation items survived. Oh, but if they survive, they might be high-tech equipments that we might be able to use, isn't it?" Naruto asked excitedly. "Yes, though I doubt anyone on this planet would know how to operate a Federation equipment," Sika stated. "However, according to the Preservation Pact, it might be best for us to retrieve any objects that had fallen to ensure this planet remains uncontaminated." "All right, I'll ask Old Man Hokage if they found anything the next time I see him," Naruto said excitedly. "So what other functions do you have besides archiving of information?" "Besides archiving information, I am also able to scan a 1-mile radius around myself, project holographic images in a 6 meters radius, monitor health of user, as well as apply symbology healing onto the user should the user requires. I am also able to match the mental wave lengths of my user to allow for telepathic speech," Sika explained. "All these functions are vital because I was created for high-level intelligence officers, basically spies. I will self-destruct under orders from my user, or if unregistered personals tried to access my database." "Did the ninjas find anything in the crater?" Sarutobi mused as Naruto burst into his office asking that question. He looked at Naruto's excited face and sighed. "I am sorry, Naruto, but I can't reveal anything. It's considered a village secret." "Aha!" Naruto cried triumphantly. "That means you did find something." "What is it, Naruto?" Sarutobi said with a long-suffering sigh. "I really can't tell you. But it's a good thing you're here. I was planning to ask you if you'll like to attend the academy earlier. It might fill up your time with something practical to do." "The academy, where they teach you how to be a ninja and stuff?" Naruto asked excitedly. "Yes, Naruto," Sarutobi said with a fond smile at Naruto. "Remember your promise to be a Hokage one day." "Oh, that, I've a new dream now," Naruto said dismissively. "Really? And what's that?" Sarutobi asked with interest. "I want to travel to the stars," Naruto said with a grin. The Ninja Academy was one of the worst experiences of Naruto's life. 3 months into the academy, and Naruto realized that the teachers were deliberately going out of their way to fail him in his tests and making life hell for him. His ninja studies were stumped, or would have been stumped if not for Sika. Due to Sika's 1-mile scanning radius, it was able to pick up the correct instructions that the teachers told the students in the distance instead of the wrong advice they gave Naruto. Being a student at the academy, he was also allowed access into the library, though the librarian refused to allow him to borrow any books. However, Sika had come to the rescue as well. Being able to scan everything in the 1-mile range, Naruto had only to remain in the library for an hour at most, before it finished scanning all the materials in the shelves of library books. Sika even scanned the books in the restricted section as well, where only the Chunins and Jonins could enter. With all these knowledge, Sika had begun work to organize the archive of ninja information based on their difficulty level and began to use the huge book knowledge it contained to teach Naruto in the ninja arts. Naruto had also discreetly scanned the Hokage's office and personal library during one of his visits to Old Man Hokage. Sure, his dream was to travel the stars now, but he had seen all those awesome techniques the Hokage and the ninjas could perform and he wanted to learn everything he could about them. The first time he showed off his fireball technique at the academy, the teachers had sternly asked him where he stole the technique from. When Naruto was not able to reply, since the book from which the technique came from was from the restricted section of the library, they had put him in detention for a week and reported him to the Hokage. Naruto had to make up a lie about how he copied a scroll dropped by a ninja and learnt the technique from there. The Hokage had luckily nodded in understanding and cautioned him against trying such a dangerous technique again. From then on, Naruto learned to hide his true skills and showed only a poor grade at school. He quickly found that the teachers had been delighted at seeing him do poorly and cause less trouble for him this way. Naruto began to wonder why he was treated with such hatred. The vast amount of knowledge that Sika was teaching him had caused him to mature more quickly than those his age, but it had also made him quieter in class and reserved by nature. It allowed him to endure those feelings of hurt about how the others treated him better than how he might have done without Sika around. I have isolated the problem for your inability to create a clone technique. Sika supplied in one of their training section. From the energy readings I took of you while you did the technique and compared it to those who had done it successfully. It seemed your inability to control your chakra energy is causing the problem. You would do well in techniques that require you to use a large amount of chakra, like the fire-breathing technique, but you'll do poorly at those that require finer control and smaller amounts of chakra. I have taken several chakra control exercises through various books and will begin to teach them to you. Thanks Sika, Naruto said with a grin. You know, I've been going through the data about the use of symbology in the Federation. I seem to remember seeing some books on the basics of seal making in the library. Are they similar? In a way, yes. The way that they were applied in your world, however, is different. Symbology used in the Federation is more focused on instant results, used in offensive and defensive purposes. The seal making on your planet, however, requires laborious amounts of seals to complete one powerful task. They are also mostly used for sealing objects and containment. Sika stated, I've looked through your schedule. If you sleep 1 hour less every day, I will be able to teach you the basics of symbology and sealing. Great Sika, thank you, Naruto said gratefully. Actually, I was thinking of telling the Hokage that I want to quit school for this year and resume the studies when a year later. I plan to use the excuse of wanting to be in the same class as my age group to get him to agree. Based on the Hokage's cordial treatment of you, your plan has a probability of 90% success. Sika provided helpfully. It would also allow me more time to train you in more useful knowledge. Then I'll find the old man now and tell him, Naruto said excitedly as he got to his feet, making his way to the Hokage Tower. 1 year later, Sarutobi was worried. Naruto had seldom sought him out for the past year after he had requested to quit school and resume his schooling with his age group a year later. At first, the Anbu had reported that Naruto had begun using his time training in the training fields daily. Concerned, Sarutobi had used his telescope technique to find out what Naruto was doing. He had been shocked at finding Naruto using techniques that he should have no knowledge of. Careful questioning of the boy had revealed that he had slipped in the restricted section of the library a few times and memorized some of the techniques contained in the scrolls. After the warning from Sarutobi of not practicing those techniques until he was older, Naruto had filled his daily life by staying at home or doing basic sparring on a training dummy out in the training fields. From what he observed, other than the times when Naruto had to walk through the village, he basically had no contact with other people. Sarutobi had tried to meet up weekly with Naruto for ramen, which used to be his favorite. Oh, Naruto still visit the Ichiraku ramen bar once a week, but he had heard from Tsuki, the ramen bar owner, that Naruto had requested Tsuki to help buy his weekly grocery for him in exchange for a huge tip. Naruto had confided in the ramen bar owner of how he was always overcharged when he bought the groceries and only received the poorest quality of the products. Tsuki had muttered angrily about the way that most of the villagers had treated Naruto, whom he had always considered as one of the most polite child he had ever seen. Sarutobi had been touched that Naruto had another friend in the ramen bar owner, and had been even more surprised when he had spied on Naruto whipping up dish after dish of nutritious meals in his small apartment kitchen. Naruto had also abandoned his untidy habits and had even begun keeping his small apartment tidy, much to the discomfort of Sarutobi, who had known the child for so long. Naruto had seemed changed after he first started the Ninja Academy. Sarutobi could only hope that Naruto could get along better with peers his age as he began ninja school tomorrow. "Is the old man spying on me again?" Naruto asked as he carefully traced the symbol for healing onto his body. Along with a few other elemental symbols he had attached to parts of his body that could remain concealed, Naruto now have access to basic symbology magic, like healing flesh wounds and summoning fireballs. "From my connection to my copy, it seemed that the Hokage is looking at your shadow clone as it prepares dinner," Sika supplied after a pause. Naruto sighed. 2 weeks after he had quit school a year ago, he was called into Old Man Hokage's office, who started grilling him about the ninja techniques he was practicing out on the training fields. It was then that Naruto realized the Hokage had been keeping watch on him discreetly. Part of him had been warned by the fact that the old man had cared enough about him to keep a lookout for him. Another part was annoyed at the fact that he was being watched without being told of it, and that it would seriously hamper his training. Naruto had promised the Hokage that he was not going to try out the Chunin ninja techniques until he was older. By the time he re-hit home, Sika had came up with how the Hokage was spying on him. Apparently Old Man Hokage had a skill called the telescope technique in his library. It was a technique that the Hokage had created to spy upon others. The Hokage had also listed out the apparent limitation of the technique in the scroll, which enabled Sika to come up with a plan to escape the Hokage's eyes and train on their own. Sika had coached Naruto in learning the multiple shadow clones technique, considered a forbidden technique which creates solid clones of oneself. Sika had computed the risk and had come to the conclusion that the possibility of Naruto dying due to the technique would only be 10% because of his large chakra reserves. Sika had also managed to locate the Hokage's energy signature every time he used the telescope technique on Naruto. The plan had been for Naruto to make the Hokage think the shadow clone was really Naruto, while the real Naruto would be able to escape the telescope technique by going to places where the Hokage wouldn't think of searching for him to train. One surprising fact they had discovered when Naruto used the multiple shadow clones technique was that Sika was also duplicated and retained the same function as the original Sika. Sika had quickly realized that any information the clones had received were passed on to the original when they were dispelled. Thus they ended up with the clone Sika and Naruto staying at home most of the day, while the clone Sika taught Naruto Federation sciences and book knowledge concerning ninja techniques, seal making and Federation symbology. When the clones dispelled at the end of the day, the real Naruto would gain all the memories of what the clone had learnt. Sika had also asked the cloned copy of itself to keep up complex scanning and computations of its surrounding, which the cloned copy could either pass back to itself at the end of the day, or constantly transmit to Sika the information throughout the day by maintaining a sub-wave light link between the two of them. So for the rest of the year, the clone Naruto had stayed at home learning book knowledge, only going out occasionally for training, so as to avoid the suspicions of the Hokage, while the real Naruto and Sika went out to the secluded training grounds and began training in the various ninja techniques, seal making and symbology. Naruto's knowledge of Federation technologies had improved, such that he began gathering materials to begin building some of the lower tech equipments that might come in useful. Having mastered the basics of seal making and symbology, Naruto was able to incorporate these two techniques to craft out a wooden propulsion gun that was able to shoot out pellets at great force through the engraving of several seals and symbols within it. That piece of work had taken him a month, but it had been well worth it after all. He had no way of making the smaller parts of a true gun and thus had to come out with creative solutions through the use of seals and symbols. You will begin your schooling tomorrow. A waste of time since your ninja skill level had reached and maybe surpasses those of scanned of Chunin level. Sika remarked. Your chakra reserves had also grown rapidly through the chakra enhancement and control exercises you've been doing for the past year. It could now be compared to most Jonin levels of reserves, though your control is somewhat lacking. Hey, I'm working on my control every day, Naruto said, sounding offended at the sore subject. He had to work hard to get his chakra control to where it was today. Anyway, I've to keep up appearance, though I feel older than my 8 years old. You know what exists outside this planet now, in space and all the wonders that could be accomplished with technology and symbology. Sika remarked, "There's a 100% chance that you'll mature faster because of this knowledge. I just hate the fact that I have to pretend to be stupid just because other people hate me." Naruto said with a sigh, "Though you could always continue teaching me the Federation science while we're in class. That's a good suggestion. I'll begin to rearrange your schedule for tomorrow now." Sika said as it began getting down to work. Iruka gathered his prepared notes nervously as he walked beside Mizuki to the classroom. "Nervous?" Mizuki asked with a laugh. "Don't worry, you'll get used to teaching in no time." "Ah yes, I hope so," Iruka said with a wan smile as they walked into the classroom. The children were seated quietly in their seats, seemingly nervous as well on their first day of school. "You can take the roll call, helps you get to know who the students are," Mizuki advised as he handed Iruka the name list for the class. "All right, everyone, welcome to your first day of the academy. I am Iruka-sensei and this is Mizuki-sensei. I will now begin calling out your name. Answer yes if the name is yours." Iruka called out, "Sakura Haruno, hi. Shikamaru Nara, hi. Naruto Uzumaki." Iruka paused as he read out that name, his head looking up to catch sight of the little boy he had rescued so long ago. "I am here, sensei." A blonde-haired boy, tall for his age and dressed neatly, raised his hand and called out. Iruka raised an eyebrow. It seemed the little Naruto had grown into a polite young man. As he looked at Naruto's disinterested glance, Iruka realized Naruto most probably didn't remember him from that night so long ago. "Very well, that's the last of you. We will now begin class," Iruka said, turning to nod at Mizuki. He saw Mizuki giving a small frown at Naruto before he began to tell the children to open their textbooks and began to teach them on the basics of chakra. "Well, Iruka-sensei is a good but stern teacher," Naruto remarked after the third week of schooling. "That Mizuki, however, is a snake. He may pretend to be nice, but I've already found him giving me misleading instructions a few times. I also overheard him calling me names. I wonder why so many people hate me. Do you wish me to come up with an answer for you?" Sika asked. "Not really, unless you can read people's mind. There's no way for you to know why they would treat me this way," Naruto said with a sigh. "I could come up with a probable answer for you based on the information collected over the year, though it may not be the correct one." Sika replied. "Really? Well, give it your best shot then. Why does everyone hates me?" Naruto asked, not expecting any answer as he ate his bento lunch of leafy vegetables and cooked eel. There was a pause before Sika answered. "There's a 90% possibility that you're the container of the nine-tailed fox, Kyuubi." Naruto choked on his food as he gave a strangled cry. "What? Some of the most common derogatory names the villagers called you were, Demon Fox, and the Fox Brat. All the people who said these words came from the older generation, from the time when Kyuubi attacked this village, which just happened to be the day of your birthday," Sika said in a calm, collected voice. "I've found a technique in the Forbidden Scroll created by the fourth Hokage meant to specially seal the nine-tailed fox into the body of a newborn child. According to the writings of the fourth Hokage, the Kyuubi could only be sealed in a child whose chakra coils had not yet developed." Naruto listened numbly as Sika continued on, his bento falling from his limp hands onto the stone floor. "I've also detected strange energy readings from you that were different from normal ninjas, especially when you are hurt and your wounds begin healing by themselves. I have reason to believe that was the Kyuubi's chakra healing you, a side effect from you being its container," Sika stated, seemingly oblivious to Naruto's emotion turmoil. "Those facts of course only result in an 80% possibility that my theory was true. The other 10% came from the fact that the third Hokage had a letter in his room that I managed to scan a year ago. In it, it was stated from the third Hokage to his future successor that you are the son of Minato Namikaze, who was the fourth Hokage. Why didn't you tell me?" Naruto asked in a numb tone, his mind frozen in shock. "Please clarify, Naruto," Sika asked in a confused tone of voice. "Why didn't you tell me about my father if you knew who he is from so long ago?" Naruto asked, getting to his feet angrily. "You never asked me to, Naruto," Sika said calmly. "I am an AI. Unless you give me instructions or specific questions, I can only provide you with my best answer fitting to your situations." Naruto collapsed back limply on his seat as he closed his eyes, tears streaming down. My father is the fourth Hokage and he used me as a sacrifice to contain the Kyuubi. He's the reason I was hated throughout my life. How can he do this to me? From the accounts of books in the library, the fourth Hokage was ever a man to put his family and village first. According to a report in the Hokage's library, your father had wanted you to be known as the hero who saved Konoha. He had also not wanted to sacrifice another child if he could ask for his own child to carry the burden. Sika said, unmoved by Naruto's rage. He had been willing to sacrifice his own life to make sure his son and the village he loves would remain safe from the Kyuubi. Your father is not the one at fault here. Naruto lay for a moment in his seat, silent tears flowing down his face as he tried to regain his composure. What about my mother? Why did old man Hokage kept this a secret from me? Your mother was Kushina Uzumaki. She was reported missing from the hospital not long after your father gave his life to seal the Kyuubi into you. Sika reported. She was presumed dead, killed by enemy ninjas. Her body was never found. According to the reports, your father made a lot of enemies as the fourth Hokage, and there's many who would want to see the Namikaze clan dead. There had been no reports for me to give a conclusion as to why the current Hokage kept everything a secret from you and the whole village, but I may have an assumption which is 87% probable. What is it? Naruto asked painfully. The news of his mother's death had clenched his heart. Along with the reports on your mother, there was another one signed by the third Hokage stating that the unnamed child of the fourth Hokage had disappeared during the Kyuubi attack. Based on the care and concern that the third Hokage had always treated you with, and the enemies that your father had made, I can only assume that the Hokage had wanted to protect you from the enemies of your father. Sika deducted as Naruto gave an anguished sigh, his eyes squeezed tight. If news got out that you're alive after your father had died, there would have been an endless string of assassination attempts made on you. Apparently from the history books of Konoha, there are records of your father slaughtering armies of enemy ninja during the Third Great Shinobi Wars. Iwagakure especially suffers heavy casualty because of him, and the Rock Ninjas bears a deep hatred for your father. Sika continued its deduction. There was silence as Naruto tried to regain his composure. There's nothing much I can do now, Naruto said bitterly. I may have the skills to protect myself, but my abilities have never been tried against powerful ninjas. After old man Hokage went through so much trouble to keep me safe, I can't ruin his efforts now, not until I've become powerful enough to really stand on my own. If he isn't going to bring this matter up to me, I've also got to pretend that I've no idea of this. After all, I can't tell him I knew all this because of you. That would be wise, Naruto. Sika agreed. My father is the fourth Hokage, imagine that. Naruto said painfully before opening his tear-shed eyes. Sika, from now on, if you encounter any information that deals with me and my well-being, inform me immediately, understand? Understood, Naruto, Sika said as it recorded the command to memory. Naruto's hands flashed through the hand seals for the static lighting technique. A coat of white-gray electrical energy covered his left hand, which he slammed down onto the cold metal of Sika wrapped around his right wrist. Power charging. 10%. 50%. Full power restored. Sika responded as Naruto cut off his chakra from his left hand, causing the electrical discharge to fade away. One peculiar feature he had found out about Sika shortly he came into possession of it was that after 6 hours of activity, the energy in Sika would run out. It would then need to be charged under direct sunlight for another 2 hours, or a direct electrical charge into the metallic layer of the bracelet. At first, Naruto had taken to basking in the sun whenever Sika's energies run out. But after Sika began training him in the ninja arts, Naruto was able to use certain lighting techniques to recharge the energy reserves of Sika. The static lighting technique, which was used to charge batteries by regular shinobi, was put into use by Naruto to restore Sika's power. It had made life much easier for the both of them. Sika, Naruto said hesitantly. The knowledge of his parents now took first priority in his mind. Do you have any information about my parents? You know their lives when they were in Konoha, what they like and dislike. I mean, you have the whole collection of information from the Hokage's library and the Shinobi library. Surely there must be something about them. The Hokage's library did contain several high-rank mission reports about missions that your parents did. However, they are mostly assassination and diplomatic espionage missions that was kept in the Hokage's library because of the high level of secrecy. These secret mission reports are written with the bare minimum of details and unfortunately did not show much of your parents' characters. Sika said apologetically. However, there's an old bingo book in the library that contains limited information on the two of them. Your father Minato Namikaze, also known as Konoha's Yellow Flash, was the fourth Hokage. He was a very talented ninja, having been considered a genius that appeared once a generation who graduated from the academy at the age of 10. He was tutored by Jiraiya, one of the 3 legendary Sanins. Several of his distinctive ninja techniques include the Rasengan and the Flying Thunder God technique. While I do have information from the Hokage's library about the steps of making a Rasengan, information about the Flying Thunder God technique could not be found in any of my scanned data. Rasengan, Naruto asked tentatively, wondering what kind of technique it was that made it his father's distinctive technique. The Rasengan is the formation of a controlled ball of condensed chakra that will cause great damage to whatever it is used on. There were notes written by the third Hokage stating that your father meant to further enhance the Rasengan by adding his chakra element to it, but he was never able to accomplish it before his eventual death. Sika answered. Naruto closed his eyes with a pained sigh. What about my mother? Kushina Uzumaki was a former infamous ninja from the land of Whirlpool. The bingo book data had commented that she had a unique ninjutsu style. She was known for creating many one-of-a-kind ninjutsu techniques, with each of them applicable to different sorts of situation. Sika stated. Most of her ninjutsu techniques were classified as B rank or lower, yet it was the effectiveness of the way she uses them in battle that made her known as the #1 surprising ninja. No particular techniques was listed in the bingo book, as it seemed that Kushina's weapon was her large library of invented techniques, with any techniques being used at any time. The book had highlighted that Kushina was noted for surprising and off-balancing her enemies with her quick and inventive appliance of the various techniques in battle. She was classified as an A-rank ninja. #1 surprising ninja. Naruto chuckled sadly. I'd have liked to meet her. Unfortunately, that's not possible. There's a 99.99% chance that she had already died by enemy hands. Sika provided calmly. Naruto rolled his eyes. It's at times like this he was reminded that Sika was not alive. Sometimes it could be so dense. Is there any way I could get more information about my parents? Notes from the Hokage's library states that regular mission reports are found in the administration building. Perhaps you'll like to send a shadow clone over to scan the place. Sika suggested. Yeah, I'll do that. Naruto paused and then asked wistfully. Sika, do you think you could teach me the Rasengan? Yes, I can. Based on the steps needed to achieve the Rasengan and your current level in mastering ninja techniques, it would not pose a danger to you. Sika replied. I estimate you'll complete the training in 1 month's time if you spend an hour each day mastering it. Great, Naruto said with a grin, a longing look in his eyes. It's just that learning that technique would be like having a real piece of the heritage that my parents left for me. I guess it's silly, but you know what, Sika? I've decided, once I mastered the Rasengan, I'll fulfill my father's wish and find a way to mix elemental chakra with the Rasengan. Calculating the number of months it will take. Sika began talking in his mind. Since we have not yet started you on discovering your elemental affinity and learning elemental skills, chances of success are very low. Oh, don't be a spoil sport, Sika, Naruto said with a huff. He made the hand seal for the shadow clone technique. A clone of himself wearing a cloned version of Sika appeared besides him. Naruto mentally named them N1 and S1, assigning numbers to the clones he had created. It was something he had been doing for the past year. Alright, I need you two to go to the administration building and scan everything over there. Done, N1 said with a grin. Wait for my good news. S1, make us invisible, N1 said as he made his way towards the administration building. The real Naruto had found out during his study of Federation sciences that by using Sika to bend light around him, he could become invisible. Since one feature of Sika was holographic projection, it was able to project light in a way that bends it around any object within Sika's field of radius, rendering them invisible to sight. This was another one of those subtle uses of Sika's existing functions that Sika never bothered to tell Naruto about. Naruto had in a fit of exasperation told Sika to be more flexible in its analyzing of what information to tell him and what not to tell him. In other words, Naruto had asked Sika to provide him with information that provides the best possible outcomes for him. N1 used the body flicker technique, which allowed him to travel long distance quickly several times to arrive shortly at the administration building. The body flicker technique had been one of the first high-level techniques Naruto had learnt, allowing him to quickly reach his secret training grounds while he left his shadow clone at his home to mislead Old Man Hokage. S1. Begin scanning of the building, archive all the information scanned. N1 commanded the clone Sika on his wrist. When the real Naruto had first begun using the shadow clone technique, there had been some confusion over the naming of the clones. Naruto had later simply assigned numbers to represent each of the clones' names, and the clones had used the naming convention since. The clones had taken into calling the real Naruto, boss. Noted begin scanning, S1 announced. N1 yawned, leaning against the wall of the building, watching the people go past as he waited for S1 to finish scanning. 15 minutes later, S1 spoke in N1's mind. N1, according to your command, you wish me to let you know of any information regarding yourself and your well-being. S1 asked. Ah yes, boss did ask you to do that. N1 replied, scratching his head wondering what S1 wanted. I have detected 2 humans working in the building who seem to be plotting something about the boss. S1 replied, passing you the recorded conversation now. Mizuki was telling us about the Kyuubi brat the other day, said that he was working hard at trying to flunk him by giving him harder questions for the tests when Iruka's not around. That brat somehow managed to did some of the questions, scraping by a pass. Mizuki swear that the fox must had a hand in this, that brat only did averagely in class, he should never have been able to attempt even a few of the Chunin level questions. A snide female mental voice said in his head. There, I told you, that brat is really the fox. I don't care what the third said about the demon being sealed in the brat, it's obvious that the fox is controlling the boy. I heard that Uzun and his gang are dropping by the brat's apartment today to spice up the fox's den a bit. They were saying that they had fixed bottle of paint with a stink component so that the stink will stay on after the paint's gone. Another woman's voice said maliciously. Tell them to be careful, the third's protective of that brat. The first female cautioned. The third's an old fool. Remember to misfile that mission documents I told you about, we must never let him find out about it. The second woman warned. The 2 women go on to take about shopping and clothes with N1 listening on grimly. Alright S1, that's enough, cut off recording. As you request, S1 said as the women's voices stopped. S1, do you have the recordings for the previous part of their conversation? N1 asked, something about the women's conversation making him uneasy. Yes I do, playing now. S1 said, this is the mission for Iruka that I told you about. The woman that N1 mentally labeled, second, said, guess being a trainee teacher must be tough, having to make ends meet by taking on extra missions. First said with a bit of sympathy, there's no need to feel sorry for him. He's one of them. Second said scornfully, he thinks the brat's innocent even though the Kyuubi killed his parents and left him an orphan so many years ago. Mizuki was telling us that he can't make any wrong moves against the brat while Iruka's around. Apparently Iruka reports to the third about that demon's progress in the academy every week. He has the Hokage's personal ear. First asked astonished. He's just a Chunin. From what I heard, he saved the brat from some villagers once many years ago when he's only a lowly gate guard. Second confided. The Hokage remembered such things and he promoted Iruka to assistant teacher once he got some experience under his belt. But it's obvious what the Hokage's the real motive is, he wanted someone around make sure the brat's safe. If you ask me, he's wasting good ninjas babysitting the demon. Maybe we shouldn't mess with Iruka then, what if the Hokage finds out? First said nervously. Oh he wouldn't, not if you misfile it that way no one would know that instead of a C rank solo mission, it's actually an A rank one. Second said spitefully. After all, he's a Chunin favored by the third, I am sure Iruka will survive somehow. The 2 women laughed. You know Mizuki was telling us about the Kyuubi brat the other day. The first began. Alright, cut. N1 interrupted, a fierce look on his face as the clone felt flames of anger swept over him. S1, finish scanning everything and let me know if any other information against the boss, Iruka-sensei and the Hokage's well-being come up. Proceeding with request now, S1 said agreeably. N1 waited in angry silence, there would be hell to pay once he passed the information to the real Naruto. Iruka-sensei just finished the class on basic math when N1 passed Naruto all the information he learnt. Sika was most probably receiving the archive of mission reports that S1 had scanned as well. When Naruto opened his eyes blazed in anger at the sight of Mizuki walking into the classroom as he took over the class from Iruka. Well, now I know that Mizuki's really against me. Naruto thought to himself angrily. And I need to find a way to make sure Iruka's sensei going to be safe. Naruto went over N1's memories. Apparently, after being informed by S1 of what happened, N1 had ordered S1 to report back if it detected any more conversations that go against the well-being of himself, Iruka sensei and old man Hokage. S1 had detected 2 more conversations about several administration officers covering up certain information to lead the Hokage astray. One of the conversations in particular revolved around another administrative officer who was unhappy with the way the Hokage always protects the fox brat, causing him to vindictively sabotage some of the important administration files. Naruto frowned. It seemed that old man Hokage and Iruka sensei were coming down under a lot of fire for supporting him, if only he could find some way to help them. As he thought, an idea creeped into his mind and his eyes widened. He looked at Sika wrapped around his right wrist and grinned. Yes, it would work, he would make it work. Because the Hokage and now Iruka sensei had become his precious people, and he would do his best to protect them from harm. Sarutobi frowned as he looked down at the sealed message in his hand. For the past 2 weeks he had been receiving intelligence reports about the going-ons around the village. These reports were delivered to his home at intervals during the 2 weeks. He had the Anbu questioned the delivery boys, but all of them had a different description of the man who hired their delivery services, suggesting that the informer is hiding under an illusion. The problem was that the information in the scrolls was always very accurate, too accurate for Sarutobi to just look a gift horse in the mouth. The first scroll had enabled Sarutobi to save Iruka, a Chunin Academy teacher, from coming to serious injuries in a dangerous A-rank mission. Sarutobi had also discovered several leaks and informants from the civilian political factions operating in the ninja administrative building with the next subsequent scrolls. The scope of the information began to grow larger with each scroll, and it seemed that the informant began expanding his area of operations in Konoha. Sarutobi managed to apprehend a spy from Rock Village who was operating in Konoha under the guise of a toy merchant. Information regarding the under-table deals of several high-ranking merchants in Konoha were also sent to Sarutobi and exposed in the various scrolls. It had prompted Sarutobi to send a few military police to keep an eye on those merchants, waiting for them to make a wrong move so that the police could apprehend them. Sarutobi began to wonder what the intentions of this mysterious benefactor were. He wasn't as naive as to believe that this informant, who was most probably a powerful and skilled infiltration ninja, would provide these information for free. Sarutobi began to go through all the information sent by the scrolls to current date and could only find one common link. All the information provided the mysterious informant were information that could have caused harm to the citizens of Konoha if nothing was done. In particular, plots against the Hokage or any of the Hokage's favored ninjas were particularly highlighted in the scrolls. Sarutobi had questioned his intelligence operatives, but all had replied that the scrolls were not of their work. Jiraiya, who was the main source of intelligence news outside of Konoha, would not have operated in such a style. Konoha was known for powerful ninjas versed in the ninja arts, but it was never known for powerful infiltration agents. There were precious few in Konoha who could gather so much information in such a wide area, within such a short time. In the end, Sarutobi still had not been able to reach a conclusion of who the informant was. He had, however, assigned one Anbu to constantly keep watch of his house in case a new scroll arrived. If a new scroll did arrive at the Sarutobi clan house, the Anbu was ordered to deliver the scroll to him at once. With time, as the scrolls kept arriving, Sarutobi became well informed of events outside his knowledge. His hold on the village had also strengthened. Sarutobi had also come to acknowledge that maybe there was some ninja out there with the will of fire, keeping watch over Konoha. Those Anbus who were in the know began calling this mysterious informant the Eye of Konoha. S3 had reported from the financial sector. Sika announced as Naruto was having his dinner. One of the merchants has sent a huge bribe to Kuma, the civilian council member in charge of Konoha's banking system. Naruto nodded as he swallowed the eel he had cooked. Did the Watcher clones receive the information? Checking the sub-light link. Yes, Watcher S1 has received the information. Watcher N1 is in the process of copying it. Sika reported. Naruto nodded with a grin. When he had begun the intelligence operations, he had not known that there was so much dirt hidden in Konoha. The urge to protect Old Man Hokage and Iruka-sensei was what prompted his foray into information gathering. But as time went on, he found that he had a lot of fun with this whole intelligence gathering business. It was therapeutic to know about the plans of someone who was planning to harm you or those that you care about and then turn those plans against them. Several villagers who were planning to vandalize his apartment had been caught in the act and were fined by the military police. When another group had tried to wreak havoc in Naruto's home out of retaliation, they were caught in the act as well after Naruto sent a scroll informing the Hokage about the event beforehand. There's now cloned Naruto stationed beside the administrative building, the Ninja Academy, the financial sector and the Hokage Tower. There were also 10 more Naruto clones patrolling the streets of Konoha gathering information as they made their way across the village. Naruto would create clones every morning to begin the information gathering process. These Naruto clones would use the clone Sika attached to them to scan the respective areas. At first, Naruto had only targeted information that brought harm to Iuka-sensei or the Hokage. He had later broadened the scope to include the protection of the whole village. Sure, most of the civilians in the village treated him badly, but Old Man Hokage would be troubled if any part of the village came into trouble. Naruto also did not want to become like those villagers that had treated him badly. After all, if he came into information that could harm the village and not inform the Hokage, he would just be like those narrow-minded villagers he hated. To avoid detection, each of the clones remained invisible through the use of the clone Sika's holographic projection abilities. The real Sika had cautioned Naruto that there was a clan in Konoha who could see through objects. Sika had no idea if those clan members could detect the invisible Naruto clones, however all the clone Sikas were reminded to constantly keep a lookout for the clan members by scanning the area around them for their presence. According to the real Sika, the Hyuga clan members were easy to detect due to a unique genetic marker that all of them possessed. This genetic marker was what gave them their bloodline abilities called the Byakugan. Once night arrived, Naruto would create a new batch of clones. These clones would take over the positions of the clones from the morning. The morning clones would then dispel themselves, passing all their information to Naruto and Sika, whereupon Naruto would then shift through the information to see if they had missed out anything important before retiring for the night. When morning arrived, Naruto would then replace the night clones with the morning clones. He had also created 2 special clones during the day and night patrols that hide out in one of the training ground armed with scrolls and brushes. These clones were assigned the names of Watcher S1, Watcher N1 and Dispatch S1, Dispatch N1 respectively. All information from the various spy clone units were transmitted from their clone Sikas to Watcher S1 via the sublight link. Watcher N1 would then retrieve the information from Watcher S1 and write them on the scrolls. Depending on the seriousness of the information, the Dispatch N1 would then be sent to the Sarutobi clan house straight away, or they would wait until morning or night, before the next clone shift takes over. Dispatch S1 would project an image of some random delivery boy over Dispatch N1, thus misleading the Anbu watching over the Sarutobi house. Tonight, Naruto had decided to expand his information collection a bit further. He had sent a clone to the Anbu building to see if there was any dirt to be had there. The clone had reported that it had reached its position an hour ago, after which it had begun scanning the area. S7 from the Anbu building is transmitting data. Sika informed Naruto. There was a pause before Sika continued. S7 has reported that it had detected an advanced technology contained in one of the Anbu's old storage room. According to the reports S7 had scanned from the Anbu building, this was one of the 2 items Konoha had discovered during the Starfall event. This item, a gene manipulator, was put into storage and apparently forgotten because the Anbu could not figure out what it was used for. The other item seemed to be a hazard suit made for high-temperature operations according to the descriptions from the Anbu reports. They had moved it to the Shinobi Armory where several Anbu had already field-tested it a few times. They had nicknamed it the Miracle Suit and it's kept under heavy guard. What are the chances of our success to retrieve both items without being detected? Naruto asked, his eyes lighting up at the thought of getting his hands on some advanced technology from the Federation. And what do those 2 items do? I understand what their names mean, but I am uncertain about their real functions. Chances of retrieval without detection are 20% for the hazard suit and 90% for the gene manipulator. Sika replied, The hazard suit is an elemental-resistant suit made up of a material that can withstand blunt force attacks. It's used for operations in hostile environment. A gene manipulator, on the other hand, is a machine created to supplement me in aiding any intelligence agents. The Federation contains many different species of sentient creatures besides humans. The gene manipulator comes in hand if an intelligence agent needs to infiltrate another planet that is not of his race or species. My database contains the gene maps for most of the sentient species of the Federation. By inputting the gene maps into the gene manipulator, the intelligence agent can use the machine to change into the species he is trying to infiltrate, with the infiltrator possessing all the traits and physical structure of the species. Basically, the whole DNA structure of the intelligence agent is changed to allow for better infiltration. The gene manipulator could also heal genetic disease, but one thing to note is that it does not heal viral or bacteria infection. If you're poisoned, changing your DNA structure wouldn't help unless you're changing into a species with immunity to that poison. Your overall mass would not change as well when you undergo gene mutation. Naruto blinked at the explanations. That's a lot of information. I think for the current time we could leave the hazard suit alone, it seemed to be more of help to the Anbu anyway. But about the gene manipulator, I understand how it's going to be useful in the Federation where humans aren't the only sentient race. But how is it useful to me right now? On my own planet, your planet has certain humans possessing genetic quirks that you call bloodlines. I am able to scan and isolate the gene that causes these bloodline limits, since they are unique genetic markers in the normal human structure. Sika explained. I could then pass the gene map to the gene manipulator and use it to give you that bloodline limit. A bloodline limit, Naruto said, his eyes shining with interest. He knew what bloodline limits were. His instructions in the ninja arts were quite complete, with Sika to guide him every step of the way. What bloodline limit have you scanned? Currently I've only detected and identified the Byakugan blood limit, during the time when you pointed out one of the Hyuga clan members to me. Sika replied. Aren't the characteristic of the Byakugan bloodline white eyes? Naruto asked after a pause. It would be pretty obvious to everyone that something happened if I started walking around with white eyes. Aren't there other bloodline limits you have detected? I've detected a few other bloodline limits through your journey around the village every day, but unfortunately since I do not have a name to go with the people who bears the genetic markers, I am unable to deduct what type of bloodline limits belong to those genetic markers. It would not be advisable for me to pass them to you. Sika explained. However, I may have a suggestion. Based on an old Anbu report, Orochimaru, student of the third Hokage, used to conduct vile research on implantation of the wood-release gene belonging to the first Hokage on human subjects. His methods were unethical and result in many deaths. His lab was shut down and he was chased out of the village when the third Hokage found out about it. Sika replied, I currently have the location of that lab, and according to the Anbu reports, the labs were simply shut down and sealed under the most powerful seal known to the third Hokage. The gene solutions and various equipments which might still bear the wood-release gene were never destroyed but simply sealed within. I suggest creating a clone to scan out that area for the wood-release gene marker. The wood-release is a powerful bloodline and is not outwardly visible physically, which should be suitable for you. Naruto grinned as he nodded. Alright, tell S7 to begin infiltration into the Anbu building to retrieve the gene manipulator. He made the hand seals for the shadow clone technique as a clone of himself puffed into existence beside him. N16, you know what to do, Naruto said, eyeing the clone. Dispel yourself after S16 have gotten the wood-release genetic marker. N7 arrived at the apartment 2 hours later. N7's grin marked the operation as a success as he set the gene manipulator in front of the Naruto, who was waiting patiently for it. N16, who was sent out to get the wood-release gene marker, had long succeeded in his mission and had already dispelled himself, passing the knowledge to Sika. Here you go, boss, good luck, N7 said before making the hand seals to release himself, disappearing in a puff of smoke. Naruto fingered the black metallic block in front of him as Sika said in his head. Initiating startup, Naruto watched in awe as the top of the gene manipulator opened up, with its sides carefully folding until they are flat against the floor. Contained inside the box was a small silver machine made of some kind of metal. The metal was layered with glass panels and had a small tray seated in the middle of the machine. This looks like the replicator machine that you used to show me. Naruto remarked, thinking back on his Federation studies. A replicator machine was a tool capable of creating any objects out of raw substances, for instance food, gold, weapons, as long as the object's atomic map was in the replicator's database. Sika had shown it to Naruto a few times while teaching him Federation technologies. Naruto had been amazed at the advanced technologies the Federation had possessed and had asked Sika if he could build something similar. He had been disappointed when Sika had replied that it was highly unlikely. This planet simply lacks the proper tools and equipments to build something as complex as the replicator. Sika had gone on to remark that this planet was considered medieval in tech level, though it did possess technologies that were seemingly advanced for this planet. Records in the library had contained a legend that talked about a great war 3,000 years ago that wiped out much of civilization, leaving behind cities with poisonous mist. The mist had only begun to disappear in the last several hundred years, and careful forays had been made into those ruins, from which much of the modern-day technologies of the ninja world came about. Sika had analyzed that Naruto's world might had bare middle-level technologies before some event had ended that golden age. It had suggested that Naruto enter the ruins himself to find out more. Unfortunately, the nearest ruins were a few weeks' journey out of the village, and Naruto was never permitted to leave the village, except for those few times when he was little and was chased out into the forest. In the end, Naruto had set it aside as things to do in the future. You may call it a specialized replicator used only for gene manipulation. Like me, it needs solar energy to recharge its reserves once its energy is depleted. However, the static lighting technique could not be used to recharge this machine. The gene manipulator is too delicate to withstand raw electrical charges. The machine currently has 60% power, which is enough for you to use a few times before needing to recharge. Sika explained, I'll pass the wood release marker and your genetic map to the gene manipulator. The machine will then replicate a pellet based on the genetic information given. The pellet is actually made up of nanobots specially programmed to change your genetic structure. You'll spend at most 5 hours in a feverish state as the gene mutation occurs, changing your body to accommodate the new gene materials. I will be able to relieve some of your pain during the process through the symbology magic engraved on me, and there's a possibility that your regeneration abilities will also aid in the process. After the mutation process ends, you'll come into possession the wood release ability. Alright, so how do I start? Naruto asked. There's a yellow button. Push it, a small drawer will open up. Put in materials that are not too dense. They will be used as raw materials for the replication process. Sika said as Naruto followed its instruction, stuffing a piece of bread into the small drawer that opened up. I am passing the gene map to the machine and begin replication. Naruto watched as the small tray in the gene manipulator light up with crackles of white lightning. When the light dispersed, a small pellet sat on the tray. Naruto reached in and took out the pellet. So I just eat it? Naruto asked, eyeing the pellet. Yes, I would suggest you do so laying on your bed. The pellet would knock you out during the gene mutation process. Sika suggested. Naruto nodded, carefully lifting the gene manipulator and put it inside one of the cupboard before lying on his bed. He held the pellet above his mouth and dropped it in, swallowing it. A sense of vertigo hit him, and then he knew nothing more. He woke up, in a sewer, crawling with vines of greenery that was rapidly spreading. What the hell happened? Naruto muttered as he got up, water splashing around him. Sika. There was no response. Naruto looked at his right wrist and his eyes widened as he did not see the familiar bracelet there. Sika, where are you? Naruto asked frantically as he searched the water and the sewer around him. Apart from the growing vines and the rock walls of the sewer, Sika was nowhere to be found. What could have happened? Naruto asked in confusion. He remembered eating the pellet that was supposed to give him the wood release bloodline, he remembered fainting, and then he had woken up here. Naruto was contemplating searching the sewer around him again when a loud roar of pain reverted through the cold and damp tunnels. Naruto flinched. The sound seemed to be coming from the other end of the sewer. Naruto felt unbelievably exposed. Sure, he was well versed in a lot of D and C rank techniques with even a few B rank techniques. He could most probably do well in a fight against some Chunin or even a few low-level Jonin. But now that he was facing some unknown element alone, Naruto felt the beginnings of fear. He had come to rely on Sika to provide him with advice about what to do for most of his life. He wasn't sure if he could make the right decisions if left on his own. The roar sounded again, like the cry of some wild and dangerous wild animal. Naruto pondered if he should walk deeper into the sewer to find out what was going on. He looked around himself. He had no idea where he was. A brick wall signaling the end of the sewer was behind him, and the only way out was to walk deeper into the sewer and hope for the best. Naruto took a deep breath to fortify himself as he took the first step deeper into the sewer. His senses were on high alert. He was a ninja trained by Sika. He would not let those teachings go to waste. After minutes of walking and the constant roaring of the wild beast which was becoming weaker with every moment, Naruto found himself at another dead end. This time, there was a giant cage draping with green leafy vines crawling all over the bars of the cage. Within the cage, Naruto saw with horrified eyes the battered body of a giant nine-tailed fox that was bound to the floor of the sewer by several large roots. Vicious red chakra was emitting from the fox, spreading out of the cage. But when they touched the vines crawling all over the bars of the cage, the demonic red chakra changed to a tide of cool green tingled with tendrils of brown. These waves of green-brown chakra washed over Naruto, giving him the feeling of rich clean growth and sensation of being in the forest of Konoha. As Naruto basked in the calming green-brown chakra, more vines and roots burst out of the ground around him, spreading to cover the whole walls of the sewer. The eyes of the trapped fox opened and glared at Naruto. "You," it hissed. "You are the boy. What have you done to me?" Naruto stared at it, nearly taking a step back at the killing intent the fox let out, before the green-brown chakra bolstered his defense, allowing him to match the fox's stare. Naruto's eyes flickered briefly to the paper seal on the cage door and then looked at the fox. "I assumed you were the Kyuubi that's supposed to be inside me," Naruto said, trying to sound calm. "I've been wondering what you really looked like. I wasn't expecting the greatest of the tailed beasts looking like this." Kyuubi roared in anger as Naruto pointed derisively at the roots binding it. "I am the most powerful of the tailed beast and I will find my way out of whatever you've done." Kyuubi snarled. "And when I escape from here, you'll be the first to be eaten by me." "Please, like that's going to scare me," Naruto said with a sniff, trying to cover the deep-seated fear in the pits of his stomach. "Anyway, I've done nothing, except to give myself the wood-release bloodline." "The wood-release bloodline," the fox gaped, its jaws opening. Finally a hint of something that looked like horror appeared in its eyes. "You brat, what have you done?" Naruto flinched at the angry roar from the Kyuubi this time as it struggled in the roots that kept it trapped. An enormous wave of red chakra pulsed out of the cage, and the vines could not totally purify some of it, causing some of the red chakra to be mixed in with the green-brown chakra. Naruto shuddered painfully as the red chakra washed over him and "I see you've awakened Naruto." Sika's voice sounded in his head. The gene mutation was a success. "You now possess the first Hokage's wood-release bloodline. I'm back in my room," Naruto said with great relief as he opened his eyes, getting up and looking around his room to confirm that he's really not in the sewer anymore. His eyes widened at the plants that had grew in a fan shape around his bed. Most of them seemed to be attached to the floors and the bed. What the hell happened here? "I am unsure, though it might be a side effect of your bloodline. I've also detected some abnormality during the mutation process," Sika continued. "During the mutation, great amounts of the energy that I have classified as the Kyuubi's chakra was emitted from your body in a controlled manner. The Kyuubi's chakra however disappeared after only 5 minutes into the mutation, and I sensed a new kind of energy signature that I've never felt before emitting from you. Shortly thereafter, the plants began to grow around you. My deduction is that the wood-release bloodline converts the Kyuubi's chakra into a new type of chakra that allows the rapid and forced growth of plants. Then that means my dream is actually real," Naruto said in part awe and part horror. "Dream?" Sika asked. "Yes, well, I had a dream about the Kyuubi just now," Naruto said as he explained his encounter in the sewer. The Kyuubi was bound onto the floor by these giant roots and most of the red chakra coming out of the cage was converted into greenish-brown chakra. Analyzing data, I propose a hypothesis which might be 95% correct in light of the new information," Sika offered. "What you just had was a psychic connection to Kyuubi." It seemed that the addition of the wood release bloodline in your body might have allowed you the ability to control the chakra of the Kyuubi from this moment on. According to the data about the wood release ability, the first Hokage was able to use that ability to successfully suppress and control the tailed beasts during the First Shinobi War. You may have gained that similar ability, so that means that I might be able to control the Kyuubi's chakra at will now? Naruto asked in amazement. Maybe not right away, however it might be wise to add learning wood release techniques into your schedule. I would also like you to create a few clone Sikas to observe your training. With the additional computational powers of the clone Sikas, I might be able to come up with ways for you to tap into the Kyuubi's chakra. Sika added, the extra computational power will also enable me to come up with various strategies for ways you could put your abilities to greater use in battle. Naruto grinned. Alright, that's going to be so cool. Too bad I've to go to the academy during the day now, or we'll have more time training. Actually Naruto, if I may suggest something, you might want to consider sending a clone to attend the ninja academy while you train during the day. Sika suggested. The clone Naruto could use his Sika to generate holographic shields that will protect the clone from any physical damage. The holographic shields will not be able to hold out under strong attacks, but they should be enough to provide more time for your clone to escape. Considering that the regular academy training spar is against children who do not even possess 10% of your current ninja skills, you should be quite safe. Good suggestion Sika, Naruto said in agreement. Though I may not want to become the Hokage now, I do want to become strong enough so that I can protect myself and those that I care about. And when I am one day able to travel to Federation space, I'll show the Federation that though the people from my planet might be primitive, we're descended from one of the strongest races out there. The race of ninjas. Question 9. What is the Gamma Sector? Give a rundown of the political importance of this sector. Sika asked in a mindless drone. It is the sector of the Milky Way galaxy that is home to the Vendini race, the most scientifically advanced civilization in the galaxy. It is also home to a large number of neutral powers that use the Vendini as a shield. Planets in this sector are able to maintain their independence because the area is far away from the Pangalactic Federation's center of government. No active anti-Federation power uses the area as a base of operations, and most of all, it is near the border of the Aldean Empire, the Pangalactic Federation's primary rival. Naruto recited from his memory. Question 10. How does the Pangalactic Federation handles genetic manipulation? Sika continued. Pangalactic Federation takes a liberal view on genetic manipulation unlike the Vendini race. Gene manipulation of not more than 30% of the user's original gene map is allowed. Any more than that, or those that are classified as dangerous mutation are handled through government facilities. Naruto said with a grin. Man, that's easy. Very good Naruto. That was the last question of the political science exams. I will now reveal the marks for all the papers you've completed. All papers are scored from HD, high distinction, to F, fail. Biology, P, pass. Chemistry, C, credit. Physics, D, distinction. Math, D, distinction. Astronomy, HD, high distinction. Federation Trade Language, D, distinction. Vendini Language, C, credit. Federation History, C, credit. Technology Training, D, distinction. Basic Symbology, HD, high distinction. Political Science, D, distinction. The following are your short courses results. Cooking, D, distinction. Invention and Planning, D, distinction. Wood Crafting, C, credit. Calligraphy, C, credit. Implementing Symbology in Technologies, D, distinction. Based on your scores, I congratulate you on passing college-level exams based on the Federation subjects that you've picked. You may now access university-level content as well as the materials for the Federation Operatives Training Program. Sika said solemnly. What would you wish to look at first? I recommend picking at least 10 disciplines to focus on for this half of the year, since you could use the shadow clones to help out in your studies. Pass some of the university choices you would recommend to me, Naruto said. He paused as descriptions and contents of various disciplinary subjects flashed through his mind. For the university subjects, I'll take Advanced Symbology, Mechanical Engineering, Astrophysics, Fine Arts, Economics, Techno-Symbology Implementations and Genetics. That's all for the university subjects? Sika inquired. Yes, show me the materials for the Federation Operatives training program now. Naruto said eagerly. Passing you the materials now. Sika replied. Give me basic infiltration training program, we're going to need that. Warfare and combat strategy training also seems useful, I'll take that as well. Naruto mused as the choices flipped through his mind. He gave a pause suddenly. Wait, Sika, go back to the previous selection. What is this chi training I see here? Chi is a specialized combat training that is a mandate for all Federation personnel. Some universities also provide subjects dealing with chi in theory. Simply put, chi is a way of channeling your physical energy to be used in fighting. Sika explained. Unlike chakra, which is the manipulation of physical and spiritual energies in fighting, chi is purely the usage of physical energies to do superhuman feats. Show me some of the attacks able to be done by chi. Naruto ordered, his eyes lighting up with excitement at this new knowledge. I will show you the recordings taken of Federation operatives in combat training. Sika said as images appeared in Naruto's mind. Naruto watched with a happy grin as he saw a Federation operative beating his opponent to a pulp with his fist, which was glowing with a yellow-like energy. Apparently his strength was tremendously enhanced, as noted by the various craters left on the training fields. There was also another operative who somehow managed to make lightning crackle all over his training sword, enhancing his attacks with the power of lightning. Alright Sika, I want in on this program as well. I think it'll help with my ninja training. Naruto decided. Also add in the university subject about chi theory. Done Naruto. Sika agreed amiably. I'll begin creating your new schedule for this year. With your clone attending school, you'll have more than enough time for your Federation studies, ninja training and learning the techniques for your wood-release bloodline. Ah yes, I hope my clone wouldn't be causing any trouble at school. I did tell it to act a bit less intelligent and speak like children our age. Naruto mused worriedly. The genetic divergent structure of Sasuke Uchiha has been noted as the Sharingan bloodline. Hinata Hyuga possessed the Byakugan bloodline. Shikamaru Nara, Ino Yamanaka, Shoji Akamichi, Kiba Inuzuka, Shino Aburame all possessed genetic structures that is a bit different from ordinary ninjas. S0 droned. I have a 98% accurate possible deduction that though these children from the lesser clans did not possess any of the known advanced bloodlines, their family-style ninja techniques might have changed their bodies during each generations to allow these techniques to be used more easily. With a few more generations, the genetic structures of these lesser clans might stabilize into a true bloodline limit. Their descendants might also be quite powerful. That's great, but I think all of us are too young for having children yet. N0 yawned listlessly. Giving you the names of those students only took me 10 minutes. Lunch is still 1 more hour away, what should I do now? N0, the Naruto clone that was assigned to attend classes, was bored out of his mind. Boss, the real Naruto, had not instructed him to read up on any specific subject today. At the moment, Iruka-sensei was talking about how to mold chakra, which N0 already knew long ago. N0 sighed, looking around at the students diligently taking notes around him. He gave a yawn and sent a mental nudge to S0. S0, I remembered from boss's memories that the Federation has some entertainment materials called comics, didn't they? Can you show me some of them? Naruto asked in his head. Yes, which century of comic would you like to preview? S0 asked politely. How about the 19th to 20th century? Naruto asked. Very well. I recommend one of the more popular comic of that time to you. It's called Middlesex, Sika said. 20 minutes later, N0's concentration in browsing through the mixed comics was broken when Iruka-sensei's voice called out angrily. Naruto, have you been paying attention to what I am saying? What are you doing giving me that empty-headed grin for? Iruka roared, an angry tick forming on his forehead. N0 snapped out of his comic browsing and winced as he saw Iruka-sensei's angry look. This was going to be a long day. Maybe he should have gotten S0 project a hologram over himself and give the illusion that he was paying attention to classes. As Iruka-sensei barked out a question on chakra molding techniques to test N0's attentiveness, N0 sighed as he replied the teacher with the correct answer, all the while thinking of the trouble he'll get from Iruka-sensei after class. The lunch break bell sounded and everyone began making their way out of their classroom in their own little groups. The only one that stood alone was the boy called Naruto. Even the shy Hyuga heiress had found a few lunch buddies with some of the girls in class. Choji frowned as he looked at Naruto, who clutched his bento and walked nonchalantly towards the swing alone, seemingly lost in his own thoughts. It wasn't like that for the first few weeks of school. In fact, Naruto had been popular among the girls in class because of his height and firm build for someone his age. The girls of the class had frequently called him for lunch, until their parents found out about who their daughters were associating with. Choji still remembered some of the parents dragging their children away from Naruto, warning them fiercely about not associating with someone like him. The warnings had spread among the children until all the girls had begun to stay away from Naruto. The only exceptions being the girls born from the shinobi families, who occasionally still talked to Naruto, though none dared to be too close with him because of the warnings from the rest of the girls. As such, even though Naruto wasn't actively hated by the children, he was avoided after the fierce warnings given by the parents. But over the last 2 months, Choji had found that Naruto was a distant but polite person, nothing to warrant the hatred that he had seen in some of the adults. Choji had asked his father why some of the adults seemed to hate Naruto and if Naruto had done anything wrong. His father had just shaken his head, saying that something happened a long time ago, something very bad that many people began to blame Naruto for. He had told Choji firmly that appearance did not matter if you are going to be friends with someone, for it's the heart and loyalty of your friend that counts in the end. Choji looked in Naruto's direction again as he and Shikamaru made their way to their favorite spot behind the playground. He bit his lips as he came to a decision, squaring his shoulders as he broke away from a startled Shikamaru and walked towards Naruto, who was seated on one of the swings. "Hi, Naruto, would you like to have lunch with us?" Choji asked as he paused in front of Naruto hesitantly, Shikamaru trailing behind him with a confused look. Naruto blinked, pausing in the middle of opening his bento. He gave a careful look at Choji as if judging his sincerity before giving a soft smile at Choji. "Yeah, sure, where are you guys going?" Naruto asked. "Great, we normally go to the fields behind the playground for lunch," Choji said as he began leading the way. Nobody knew at that time, but it was the start of a friendship that would change Choji and Shikamaru's lives forever. The sun was hovering beyond the horizon, in the midst of setting, when Naruto paused in his training as he absorbed his memories of the clone that he had sent to school. It seemed that the clone had made 2 new friends. Well, not that it matters, the adults will break up that friendship sooner or later, Naruto said with a shrug. Sika, N0 found some comics about magic users in your entertainment database. The magic users in the comics have these magic plates that are able to cast spells by channeling magic energy, sort of like channeling chakra in a rectangle metallic plate to cast ninja techniques. Do you think it's possible for me to create ninja techniques plates based on the same concept? Referring back to the Middlesex comics, I am unable to come to a conclusion at this current time. However, if you wish for me to investigate such matters, you could spare your chakra to create a few more clones which you could hide out in the forest every night. I'll then use the clone Sikas to increase my computational capabilities as we ran various simulations based on the ninja knowledge that I've archived, to see if the creation of the ninja technique cards you've suggested is feasible. Sika recommended. How about 100 clones for the night? Now that I can pull the Kyuubi's chakra and use it, I'll be able to create that many clones as well as the night infiltration team and pump enough chakra in all of them to last the night. In fact, I am thinking of expanding my infiltration operation to cover the whole village soon. Maybe gradually over a few months' time. Naruto told Sika musingly, that would be a wise decision, and regarding your large chakra reserves now, it is no surprise. According to ninja legends, the 9-tailed fox is a creature of immense malevolent chakra. Now that it's sealed in you and you are able to pull out its chakra safely, it's no wonder that your chakra reserves had increased so rapidly. Sika added, in fact, according to my scans, your own personal chakra reserves had already tripled what it used to be. Based on my estimation, the Kyuubi's purified chakra most probably forced your chakra coils to grow rapidly. You may very well exceed Hokage-level chakra reserves, not counting in the Kyuubi's chakra, in a few years' time if this carries on. Wow, exceed Hokage-level chakra reserves. Naruto said, impressed. Of course, it also meant that every time your chakra reserves increased, your chakra control will worsen until you could get used to handling this new level of energy. Sika continued dryly, I've detected you wasting double the energy usage for all your techniques these past few days, though your control is steadily getting back to what it used to be with training. Naruto grimaced as he sighed. Well, I guess there'll always be give and take. Anyway, I'll begin to create those 100 clones for the night and leave them here. You can use them to run your computations while I'm asleep. I want to know if there's even a possibility that I can create a ninja technique plate. Regarding the new genetic materials we scanned today, what do you wish to do about it? Sika asked. The Sharingan would be too obvious at the moment for me to use. So I'll skip that for the moment, though I'll send a clone to scan the Uchiha compound for their clan materials. Naruto decided as he began thinking about the matter. I'll also send some clones to the Nara, Yamanaka, Akamichi, Inuzuka and Aburame clans to do some scanning and get more ideas about what their techniques are about before I decide if I want to incorporate more genetic variations in me. The next few weeks passed and N0 found to his surprise that he was spending more and more time during lunch and after school hanging out with Choji and Shikamaru. It became a regular sight to see the three of them laying on one of the hills behind the academy as they watched clouds go by. N0 had also found that beneath Shikamaru's lazy facade hides a very intelligent mind. He began to teach Shikamaru a game called shogi, which became one of their regular pastimes. Shikamaru quickly grasped the basics of the tactical chess game, and surprised Naruto by beating him 5 out of the 10 times that they had played together to date. It had begun a challenging friendship with Shikamaru as they began to spend much of their cloud-watching time playing shogi, with Choji sitting beside them munching on his chips. Shikamaru also began to show more focus in the game than N0 had ever seen him shown in class. Surprisingly, Shikamaru and Choji's parents did nothing to interfere in this budding friendship. Apparently Shikamaru had also remarked about N0's talent in shogi because the adult Nara had approached N0 once and invited him to their house sometime for a game. Thus, the strange friendship between the three of them had begun. Sometimes, a blonde-haired girl named Ino would join them. Apparently she was the childhood friend of Choji and Shikamaru, though Shikamaru vehemently denied that fact, calling her troublesome. Most of the time, however, it would only be just the three of them until Choji had in his friendly way made friends with Shino, whom the class had called Insect Boy and avoided on the whole, and Kiba, a loud-mouthed hyperactive brat who apparently came from a clan that paired up with trained ninja dogs, though apparently he was still not of age to receive a dog companion. Ino also joined them less and less as more boys were added into the group. Naruto later learned that Shino came from a clan that infused into their bodies at birth a special breed of insects that feed on chakra. In return, the insects attack and do other tasks as he commands. That was also the reason for Shino's unpopularity and the name, Insect Boy. Kiba, however, was totally different from the calm and collected Shino, being prone to excessive actions and random pranks. One such prank resulted in N0 having pink hair for the rest of the day. Of course, the normally self-collected N0 lost his temper that day, and it was the start of the prank wars and the beginnings of a firm but sometimes traitorous friendship with Kiba as they became eternal friends and rivals. I bet you couldn't do it, Kiba said with a challenging gleam in his eyes as he looked at N0. Couldn't do what? Shikamaru asked, opening his eyes wearily. The five of them had been laying on their favorite hill spot for the past 1 hour since they left school. Kiba was saying that Naruto wouldn't be able to come up with his own ninja technique that can knock out the teachers. Choji spoke up helpfully between munches of his chips. Oh, you're so troublesome, Kiba, Shikamaru said with a shake of his head. Don't you remember the 1-week detention you got after you threw the stink bombs at Iruka and Mizuki-sensei? And just throwing stink bombs aren't really ninja techniques. Of course they are, my very own stink bomb technique, Kiba said, puffing out his chest proudly. Ha, I could do it with a real technique, N0 said, sticking out his tongue at Kiba. Just you watch, what could distract Iruka and Mizuki-sensei anyway? I don't know, they are both adults, maybe a pretty woman, Choji suggested. Mom always says that a pretty woman is a man's downfall. Women are troublesome, especially the fierce ones, Shikamaru said with a shudder. Shino nodded quietly beside him in agreement. Woman, huh? N0 mused as he planed his special technique. Iruka's point of view. Iruka walked into the classroom the next morning with great energy and good cheer. This week had passed uneventfully with no outrageous pranks from Kiba or his partner in crime Naruto. One could only hope they had learnt their lessons from the multiple detentions he had given them. "Ah, Iruka, you've arrived," Mizuki said, turning to the classroom as he continued. Iruka-sensei will now take over the genjutsu section of the lesson. Listen carefully to his instructions. Have all of you practiced the transformation technique I've showed you all yesterday? Iruka asked the class while waiting for Mizuki to gather his stuff. "I've practiced real hard, Iruka-sensei," Naruto called out, raising his hand. "Do you want to see it?" Well, since Naruto offered, "Very well, Naruto, come to the front and show the whole class your transformation," Iruka said good-naturedly. Later on he would curse himself for not spotting the trap Naruto had laid out for him. Mizuki paused in the middle of collecting his notes to leave the class, shooting Naruto a barely concealed glare, but also stopping to see the mess Naruto would most probably make for himself. After all, few academy students ever succeed a transformation on their first try, and after only just a day of teaching. "All right, Iruka-sensei, Mizuki-sensei, here's my own special transformation technique," Naruto said, pausing in front of the class facing Iruka. Iruka began to feel a familiar sense of foreboding that he was starting to get around Kiba and Naruto. A large warning sign was flashing in front of his eyes. Maybe I should pick someone else. Special transformation technique, sexy technique," Naruto cried out, cutting off Iruka's hurried words as a cloud of smoke enveloped him. Iruka watched in horrified fascination as a blonde and pretty young woman in the nude stepped out of the smoke, cooing at him. "Hi, Iruka-sensei," Naruto in his transformed form cooed wickedly at him. "Hi, Mizuki-sensei." Behind him, the class erupted in pandemonium as the girls screamed death threats at Naruto. "Off with his head," Ino and Sakura screeched. "Naruto Uzumaki," Iruka roared, as his face turned beet red. Behind him, Mizuki was trying frantically to stop the streams of blood from his nose. "I think I am beginning to get the hang of my wood release ability," Naruto said with a tired sigh as he sat down on the training field with a bowl of instant ramen. Several newly sprouted trees surrounded him while the clones around the perimeter of the training field remained in their positions, scanning the surroundings in case any Konoha ninjas wandered this way. "I think I can master the first wood release technique in a week's." Naruto choked on his ramen as the memories from the clone he sent to attend classes reached him. Apparently the clone had dispelled himself after hanging out with his friends. Unfortunately, it seemed that the clone had been up to some mischief during the day, which had ended up with Iruka-sensei sentencing him to detention for a whole week. What a perverted technique! Naruto winced as he received the memory of the transformation technique the clone had created and used on Iruka-sensei. And my clone just came up with this technique in the morning, with his Sika aiding him. If this goes on, my reputation's going to be totally ruined at school. "You did ask that clone to act like children his age," Sika pointed out, "and one of his friends is a prankster. Since your clone is but an extension of yourself, he would have inherited your competitiveness. It's no wonder he would try to exceed other students in pranks, since that's the one area where you did not instruct him to hide his talent in." "Yes, but did he really have to come up with that kind of ninja technique?" Naruto moaned, blushing at the memory of the firm naked female body N0 had transformed into. Add in the memories of the naked photos of various women provided by S0 that N0 had used as reference, Naruto had a hard time clearing his head of the memories. "You know, Sika, apart from my clone's disaster at school, I think I would like to hang out with Shikamaru and the rest of the guys for once. Just myself, and not my clone. Their friendship seemed genuine, and I'll really like to experience companionship with people my age." Suggestion then, Sika provided. "You could still have your clone attend classes but switch places with it after school to hang out with your friends. I'll adjust your timetable to fit in with your new schedule." "Thank you, Sika," Naruto said gratefully, already looking forward to tomorrow. "By the way, Sika, I've decided not to use the genetic material or any of the family techniques you've scanned from the Nara, Yamanaka, Akamichi, Inuzuka and Aburame clans. I know these people and they've been nice to me when so many others hated me. It'll be too much like stealing if I use their family techniques." "Understood. I'll file their genetic maps and techniques away to be only used as reference." Sika acknowledged. "Naruto, I've also completed the analysis of the possibility of creating ninja techniques plates. According to my possibility simulation program, If we can find a way to convert ninja techniques into seal forms and place them on plates, theoretically we can make it that anyone will then be able to use the technique by pushing chakra into the plate. Of course, the seal arrays needed to convert ninja techniques like ninjutsu or genjutsu into seal forms would be very complex. However, if you create more clones to allow me access to the extra clone Sika's computational powers, I might be able to form seal arrays based on my current seal and symbology library to create the ninja technique that you want. One good thing about this is that ninjutsu requiring certain bloodline limits might be possible for everyone to use if converted to seals and imprinted onto the ninja techniques plate. That's good. Let's make it our nightly activity then, Naruto affirmed. First, I'll like you to find out how to create a seal array for the shadow clone technique. For that matter, let's see if we could imprint symbology symbols on the plates as well, for others to access the symbology form of magic. In the night, Sika used the clones for extra computing powers to convert techniques into seal arrays. In the morning, Naruto trained in the forest while his clone attends school. In the afternoon, Naruto would then switch places with his school clone to be with his friends. Naruto began spending regular time with his friends, finding that he quite liked their company. Choji was the loyal and friendly type. Shikamaru, though lazy, possessed a fierce intelligence in coming up with strategies. Shino was the solid silent boy of the group, seldom speaking, yet when he did speak, it's with wisdom beyond most of his age. Kiba on the other hand is rash and bouncing with energy. You know, Kiba remarked one day staring at the sky as he lay on the grass beside Choji. Naruto and Shikamaru were engaged in a game of shogi. It's boring doing the same old thing every day. How about we do some training once in a while? I'm fine with it, Choji said between mouthfuls of chips. As long as we don't do it every day, it would be wise to train up our skills. Shino admitted beside Naruto. He had been observing Shikamaru and Naruto's shogi game. It's troublesome. I'd rather look at the clouds, Shikamaru complained. How about this? I'll play shogi with you 3 days a week and we all train for 2 days every week, Naruto suggested to Shikamaru. Whatever, Shikamaru said with a lazy shrug as he moved his chess piece. But can we not train today? We're still in the middle of a game. All right then, I'll ask my sis about which training fields to go to when I reach home today. We can go there to train tomorrow, Kiba said enthusiastically. The next few weeks began the start of the group's training sessions that would later turn into a regular event. Naruto also decided not to hide his true skill during the sparring matches, as it wouldn't do his friends any good if they did not learn from their mistakes. The mission reports he had read about his parents from the administration building had depicted the harsh ninja life for him. In the ninja world of the elemental countries, if you are a ninja of limited skills, sooner or later you would be killed. Truth to be told, he had grown quite attached to his friends, and since Kiba had suggested it, Naruto was going to make sure the group gained more ninja skills out of their sparring matches and practices. Naruto did make sure he did not use any techniques that were not taught by the academy though. However, even with academy-level techniques, Naruto was able to fight everyone to a draw every time, a fact that had totally surprised everyone. You have been hiding your true ability in the academy, Shikamaru noted one day as they watched him end the taijutsu match with Kiba in just 5 minutes. Kiba was ranked second in all taijutsu lessons after Sasuke Uchiha. It had been unbelievable that Naruto, who had always scored averagely in class, would be able to beat Kiba in their after-school sparring matches regularly. And you hadn't been hiding your own skills, Naruto returned calmly as he looked at Shikamaru. I know for a fact that you can most probably do better than that Sakura girl in the written tests, yet you consistently scored the 7th place instead of the 1st. That's because school is troublesome for me, Shikamaru grumbled, looking away. Well, same here, I'll probably get into trouble if I do too well. Naruto paused, trailing off as he suddenly realized what he had just said. I mean it's just too troublesome to try hard anyway, passing is enough. There was an awkward silence as everyone looked at one another. Then Kiba interrupted with a yell. Come and fight me again. I can't believe I keep getting defeated by you, Kiba said as he challenged Naruto. That's because your taijutsu stance is sloppy, you're limiting your own reach, Naruto said, turning away as he went to correct Kiba's mistakes. Shikamaru, what did Naruto mean he'll get into trouble if he do too well? Choji asked as they watched the two boys begun to spar. Well, hadn't you noticed how the other teachers in the academy other than Iruka and Mizuki-sensei treated him? Shikamaru asked with a frown. From what I recall, the teachers from the other classes tend to give Naruto a hard time during lessons. I've even seen him get the wrong instructions from Uzuni-sensei once. I don't understand it. Naruto's a nice person. But so many adults in the village seem to dislike him. Choji said with a frown. Dad wouldn't tell me why people hate Naruto when I asked him. Maybe it was his parents. Shikamaru suggested. I doubt the fault lies with Naruto. He's too young to commit any big crimes that would make so many adults bear hatred towards him. I got the same answer from my dad when I asked him about Naruto. I think the adults are hiding something from us. Let's not think about it. Shino said suddenly from the side. Naruto's our friend. That's enough for me. Choji's eyes brightened as he looked at Shino. You're right, just being friends is enough, and Naruto gave me a lot of pointers when I fought against him. I am going to practice now. Are you coming, Shikamaru? Yeah, this is troublesome. I hate mysteries, Shikamaru said before walking to spar with Choji. Shino stood silently alone in the field looking on as Naruto disabled Kiba in a fight for the second time that day. I wish there's some ways that I can teach Shikamaru and the others more knowledge, like the seal basics, advanced genjutsu concept and ninjutsu techniques. Naruto remarked. For the past 1 month, their little group has been honing their academy skills until they are near perfect with them. What the academy teaches is but the bare basics. They'll need more than the basics once they began fighting against enemy ninjas. According to academy standards, all of you are only 8 years old, nearing 9. The bare basics are the foundation upon which to build your skills. Sika reminded Naruto, not everyone has your large chakra reserves or me to guide them. That's true, maybe I should start them on chakra control exercises and chakra stretching exercises to enlarge their chakra reserves. Leaf floating and tree walking might be a good start. Naruto mused, but I wonder how I am supposed to introduce tree walking when the academy never teaches that. The library did have books regarding tree walking, so maybe you could keep up a facade of frequently going to the library to research materials and chance upon them. Sika suggested. Naruto shook his head. That would take up too much time just to keep up a pretense. Isn't there any other methods? Sika paused as it analyzes the situations. I do have one method that would allow a bit of flexibility. The Anbu dropped the scroll silently on the Hokage's table before silently exiting out of the window. Sarutobi looked at the familiar scroll that Konoha's mysterious informant used as well as the red seal wax of an eye over a leaf that sealed the scroll. Apparently the informant must have found out about the Eye of Konoha, nickname that the Anbu had given him and had created a unique seal for his scroll. Sarutobi clamped his fist and quickly stood up as he glanced at the contents of the scroll. Third Hokage, this is not an informant scroll, but a short note to inform you of certain of my actions. I am aware that you've been concerned for the safety of the village with an unknown informant running around, even though the information I've provided you so far are for the good of the village as a whole. Rest assured that I've no ill intention towards the village. I was a family friend of Minato and Kushina and had only recently come back to Konoha after a long journey. After finding the truth of what happened to my 2 friends, I've decided to stay and keep a silent watch on their son. I would not list down the name of their child in case this scroll falls into others' hands. However, it came to my attention that your power was severely undermined due to your support for my friend's child. As such, I've decided to take action to ensure the safety of the village that Minato loved, and to make sure the boy stays safe. I cannot reveal myself, not even to the boy, because to know my identity would put others at risk. I am unfortunately considered a missing nin at the current date. Thus I've decided to aid the boy in other ways. I'll be leaving scrolls and books on basic chakra manipulation, ninja techniques as well as other items on the doorsteps of the boy to further his education. I'll also be handing him higher-level ninja techniques once I judged his capability to be sufficient. I have in my possession several of Minato and Kushina's ninja techniques as well. Once the boy is powerful enough, I'll be passing him the notes on his family techniques. All he would ever know is that a family friend is leaving this information for him and nothing more. I do hope you'll allow me this small favor of guiding my friend's child from the shadows, in exchange for all the information I provide this village with, now and in the future. Should you ever need to contact me, leave a scroll in the mouth of your rock statue crafted onto the Hokage mountain. I'll check on it once a day and be in contact with you. Signed, Eye of Konoha. As he finished the scroll, Sarutobi felt the pressure of all his years crashing down on him. He was getting too old for this cloak and dagger business. A friend of Minato and Kushina, Sarutobi whispered wearily, suddenly feeling very tired. And a missing nin to boot. What should I do? Sarutobi landed heavily back on his seat as he pondered his next move. Hawk, Sarutobi called out sharply. A shadow entered through the window and in seconds, a hawk-masked Anbu stood before the Hokage. I want you to send a few men to keep watch over Naruto. Keep a lookout for any parcel left on his doorstep. Sarutobi ordered, thinking fiercely. Make sure the contents are not harmful to a student of Naruto's level. Keep up this patrol for the next few months. I also need you to go to Naruto's apartment right now and ask him if he had received any scrolls or books recently. Make sure that contents are not harmful to the boy. Yes, Lord Hokage. The hawk-masked Anbu bowed before leaping out of the window, making his way quickly to Naruto's apartment. Beside the Hokage tower, standing invisibly in a corner, N5 smiled as S5 detected the Hokage's message. Send a message to boss at once, tell him the plan worked, and prepare for Anbu arrival. N5 ordered as S5 passed the message to the boss's Sika. Trust the boss's Sika to come up with a plan like that. N5 mused with a smile. Now the boss would be able to receive more powerful techniques scrolls from himself and other items as well. Give or take a few more months of letting the Hokage see bosses, intensive training, and there will be no need for the boss to hide any of his skills or the fact that he can create shadow clones. The original Sika did come up with a very ingenious concept that would allow the boss a lot more flexibility. S5 admitted, it'll make our future movement easier. But according to calculations, the boss should wait a few more months before sending himself the shadow clone technique so as not to rouse suspicions. I can't wait for the future when we clones did not have to keep hiding in the shadows. N5 agreed. Aside from those clones on infiltration missions who need to remain invisible, the future shadow clones would be able to train freely in the training fields without needing to hide once boss, officially, mastered the shadow clone technique. Sika confirmed. N5 grinned, as he and the rest of the shadow clones around Konoha prepare for a future where they did not have to keep remaining invisible. 5 days ago, power reverberated through the room as the inner council of the Uchiha clan sealed the room off from anyone who might plan to spy on them from the outside. In front of the gathered council, Itachi Uchiha, the most brilliant Uchiha of his generation, and the Anbu captain of Konoha kneel in front of the gathered council, looking at them calmly. I assume the council has something to tell me since I was summoned in such an abrupt manner. Itachi said coolly, seemingly not daunted into submission by the fierce judging looks on the council members' faces. Yes, Itachi, you were summoned here for a matter of grave importance. What is your reply to the question we had asked you a week back? One of the clan elders asked grimly. Itachi turned to look at the cold face of his father before turning to face the elder who had spoken. Surely there must be some other way for our clan to gain back our power without revolting. Itachi observed calmly, Konoha is full of ninjas loyal to the third. The resulting conflict from our clan rebelling against the village would inflict grave casualties on both sides. Unless you can tell me how you are going to take over the village without so much bloodshed, I refuse to be part of the plan that might spell doom for our clan. You insolent pup. Just because you're the prodigy of our clan does not mean that the clan will not take action against you. Another of the council member raged. Calm down, Mozu. Itachi has a point. To him it looks as if the Uchiha clan is courting its own doom. Why not let him in on our plans? Kairo, one of Itachi's blood uncles said in a pacifying tone of voice. Don't be a fool, Kairo. Until we are certain of Itachi's loyalty, our plans will only be known in the inner council. Mozu snapped. He turned to Itachi, giving him a chilling look. I suggest you quickly make known your allegiance. Should you betray this clan secret, you and your family will be killed, even if your father is the clan leader. There are many within this clan who can always serve as the next clan head. So that's how it is. Itachi said grimly, giving a soft sigh, his eyes turned to stare at the floor stonily. I really had no choice in the first place, hadn't I? Your answer, Itachi, and it better be the correct one. Mozu said coldly as he turned to Cairo. Ah, Cairo, please enlighten me about the sentry that are guarding our dear clan head's home. Fugaku's eyes visibly tightened, though he kept silent while Cairo sighed. Yashito and Kiro are guarding the place right now, Cairo said, not looking at Itachi or Fugaku. They are quite competent ninjas. Yashito and Kiro, two of the best assassination specialists in Konoha, are guarding my home. Itachi said deadpan and without humor. Ah yes, we always want the best protection for the wife of our clan head and his children. Mozu said, looking at Itachi challengingly. Your father is mostly busy with council affairs, and your mother, bless her heart, chose to specialize in medic nin techniques instead of the more offensive ninja skills. Someone do need to protect her and your little brother. How old is he? 7, 8. The council wants the best protection for the two of them. After all, it takes an assassination expert to prevent an assassination attempt, assuming one would even take place, of course. Left unsaid was the hidden threat. Some of the council members stirred uneasily at the heightened tension in the room but kept silent. Mozu was one of the possible candidates for the Uchiha clan head before Fugaku was chosen to lead the clan by the elders. The Uchiha clan was one of the few clans that chose the clan head position based on one's capabilities instead of birth of right, a common situation in the ninja world for a large clan that happens to possess a lot of powerful ninjas. As such, Mozu still had a lot of council members loyal to him and wield enormous power over the clan affairs. Itachi, Fugaku said, breaking the silence. He looked at Itachi without revealing a shred of emotion on his face, visibly calm and collected. This decision was not an easy one to make, but it had been agreed by the elders and the clan council that the only way for the Uchiha to gain back our power and prestige in this village is to proceed on with our plan. I was one of the council members who had agreed with the plan. There was a pause as Itachi stared at his father before breaking the glance. Ha! Itachi laughed bitterly. It seemed all along I have no say in this matter. Very well, what do you wish me to do? It's a good thing you've come to your senses, one of the elders said. As the Anbu captain, you have the layouts and schedule for the Anbu patrols. The clan is going to need all these information if our plan is to succeed. Present. It had only been 3 days since Konoha's mysterious infiltration agent stated his intentions towards Naruto. Sarutobi had been hoping for a few more days of peace and quiet before any major incident occurs that requires his attention. He had not expected this. Itachi, you are telling me that the Uchiha clan council are gearing up plans to revolt and seize control of Konoha. At the same time, one of their plans of success is to assassinate all members of my clan. Sarutobi asked with barely concealed rage, his thunderous eyes staring into the calm, placid glance of Itachi. Yes, Hokage. Unfortunately, the Uchiha council was not forthcoming with their plans to me. It took me giving them the Anbu patrol schedule before they are willing to tell me that part of their scheme was to assassinate your clan during the night of their revolt. Itachi said, a tone of apology and regret in his voice. Hokage, I've seen the number of lives lost in the war. If my clan's plan to rebel was to succeed, the number of people who will die would be numerous. I understand, Itachi. I know of your loyalty to Konoha. Sarutobi said grimly. I'll need to discuss this with the village elders, and we need a way to get more information on this matter. The I has not informed you of this? Itachi asked curiously. As Anbu captain, he was informed of the existence of the mysterious infiltration agent hiding in the shadows of Konoha. It seems that he is not all-knowing after all. Most probably, but there's no denying his expertise in infiltration. Sarutobi agreed. I will send a scroll to him. Hopefully he would receive it and help us on this matter. In the meantime, Itachi, do not do anything that might raise the suspicions of your clan. You are currently Konoha's only agent that can monitor the going-ons of the Uchiha clan. And from what you've told me, the Uchiha council is holding Makoto and young Sasuke as leverage against you and most probably your father. I will not risk the lives of your family. Keep me informed, but also be mindful of the safety of you and your loved ones. I am sorry to have to ask this burden of you, child. There has been enough suffering and deaths with the last ninja war and the attack of the Kyuubi. Itachi said, suddenly looking very weary. I do not wish this village to be embroiled in a power struggle between my clan and the ninjas of Konoha. Outside the Hokage Tower, one grim-faced Naruto clone was ordering his Sika to contact the boss of the latest threat to Konoha. The Uchiha clan is planning to rebel. Naruto asked as he quickly chomped down on the eel that he had cooked earlier in the day. He was taking a short break during his night training as evidenced by the dense numbers of young trees surrounding him. All had sprouted from the ground at the usage of his Mokuton bloodline. Affirmative, Itachi Uchiha, Anbu captain of Konoha had just reported this news to the Hokage. The Hokage is sending someone to leave a scroll to contact us even as we speak. Sika reported. The contents of the scroll state that the Hokage would be willing to give us S-rank pay if we could infiltrate into the Uchiha compound and come up with the names of the traitors and their plans. How much is an S-rank pay? Naruto mused as he quickly finished up his bento. Depending on difficulty levels, S-rank pay can range from 1 million ryo or more. Sika remarked. Naruto raised his eyebrows. I can buy a lot more materials to use in my experiments with 1 million ryo. Anyway, it's just another infiltration trip. I'll just send a clone to the Uchiha compound to observe them every day starting from tonight. Understood, Naruto. However, there is an error in your calculation regarding the spying of the Uchiha clan. Sika stated. The Uchiha clan compound is one of the largest in Konoha. If your clone was to be stationed right outside the compound, the 1-mile scanning radius of the cloned Sika wouldn't be enough to cover the whole area. I would suggest at least 4 clones stationed at each intersection point to scan the whole compound. Alright then, I'll send 4 clones over to there right now. Naruto said as he made the hand seal for the shadow clone technique. 4 clones puffed into existence beside him. Each of them gave Naruto a quick nod before dashing off towards the Uchiha compound, aware of their mission. Their clone Sikas were already layering their holographic images around the Naruto clones to make them invisible as they vanished from sight. Let's hope the clones can find some information. Naruto said grimly. From your description, old man Hokage sounds very worried, since the Uchiha are targeting him and his family. A rebellion by such a large clan against the village will affect more than the Hokage and those close to him. The resulting fallout and casualties could affect a lot of people, and the civilians might even be pulled into the struggle for dominance. Sika warned. Perhaps you might want to send more clones out to patrol the rest of the ninja clans in the village, see if any of them are in any way allied with the Uchiha clan. That's a good idea, Sika. I'll do just that before continuing with my training, Naruto said as he quickly used the shadow clone technique. 40 over clones puffed into view. Naruto turned to face them, an authoritative tone in his voice. You guys know what to do. Each of you stake up each of the ninja clans in Konoha. Starting today, we need to know of what goes on in each of the clans beforehand. Aye, boss. The clones chorused as their clone Sikas turned all of them invisible. Naruto felt the rush of wind around him as his invisible clone army rushed past him, seeking to infiltrate the secrets of the clans of Konoha. Hiba grinned as he quietly slipped into the empty classroom. The rest of the class was out in the fields practicing taijutsu, and he had faked a need to go to the toilet in order to sneak back to class. In his hands, he held the careful mix of paint bombs that he had painstakingly created yesterday night just for Iruka and Mizuki-sensei. As he searched for the best place in the classroom to set up his prank, a soft sob caught his attention, causing Kiba to freeze in fright. He turned to survey the classroom that he thought was empty and saw a barely visible gray huddle at the back seat of the classroom. Kiba placed the paint bombs down on the nearest table and made his way softly up the back of the class as more sobbing sounded in the classroom. As he neared, he realized who it was. It was Hinata Hyuga, one of the quietest girl in class. Now that he thought about it, Hinata had been sent away from the taijutsu class after getting injured shortly after class began. She was supposed to go to the infirmary. What was she doing back here? Hinata, Hiba asked hesitantly. He was not familiar with the Hyuga heiress, though he did know her by name. Instantly Hinata's head lifted as she turned to face Kiba, a startled expression on her face. Kiba, I was just resting. Kiba blinked as he saw Hinata's pale watery eyes and flushed cheeks and felt something wrenched in his heart. Hinata just looked so cute. Kiba, Hinata asked hesitantly at Kiba's stunned expression. Are you all right? Yeah, I am fine. Kiba said, shaking his head to clear it before turning to face Hinata. Why are you in class crying? I thought you're supposed to go to the infirmary. Hinata's lips quivered. It is just a leg sprain. It is my fault because I am always so weak. I just bring shame to my clan. Of course not, Kiba retorted, trying to cheer Hinata up as her face began to crumple. You're one of the best taijutsu fighters among the girls. You got injured just now because you were paired up with that Sasuke-tem, didn't you? He's one of the best among the boys and he never knew how to hold back his strikes. Don't worry about it anyway. I heard your family had a super awesome taijutsu fighting style. I am sure if you're allowed to use that, you wouldn't lose to anyone. But, Hinata protested softly as she chewed her lips. Even my father thinks I am weak, because I couldn't bring myself to hurt anyone. What? Kiba said in outrage. His family was a close-knitted one, and though sometimes his mother might fight too hard against him during training, he knew that she loves him. Well, you're not weak. Trust me, you're one of the best in our class. Really? Hinata said, looking up at Kiba with watery eyes as he nodded firmly. In fact, Hinata, my friends and I have a study group after school where we train ourselves. Do you want to join us? It's mostly guys, but sometimes Ino joins us as well. Kiba offered. Naruto can give you some really cool advice if you want to become stronger. Naruto? Hinata asked, thinking back on the blonde-haired troublemaker who often got into messy situations together with Kiba. Yeah, his grades aren't very good, but he really knows a lot of stuff. Kiba said with a grin. We're meeting this afternoon after class, so what do you say? Hinata glanced up at Kiba's friendly eyes and gave a small smile. All right, that's great. Follow me after school today, I'll introduce you to the rest of the guys. Kiba said excitedly. You wouldn't regret it now. How about you and I set up a little prank? What? Hinata asked with a startled look as Kiba grinned mischievously. Iruka could feel his vein pulsing on his forehead as he resisted an urge to growl at the two pranksters before him. Kiba, Iruka said with an underlying growl. I expect you to clean up the whole classroom before you leave, without anyone's help. Iru. Ka-sensei, I should help also. Hinata muttered softly as she looked at the floor, avoiding Iruka's look. No, Hinata, I know that Kiba's the one that dragged you into this. He will clean up the mess he created alone, Iruka said as he waved around the classroom, which was splattered in multitudes of bright yellow and brown. He took a book out of his bag and placed it in front of Hinata. However, since you've also aided in the prank, you cannot go unpunished. This is a book on Advanced Academy Taijutsu style. We will be learning it next month, but I expect you to memorize the contents and show the whole class what you've learned next week. Show the whole class. Hinata stuttered, looking horrified, turning her petrified eyes to look at Iruka pleadingly. Can I switch the punishments with Kiba? I don't mind cleaning the classroom. That's a great idea, Kiba said enthusiastically. I wouldn't mind showing the class my advanced taijutsu technique. Iruka stared at them with an evil grin. No, these are your punishments, as such punishments are meant to punish you, not let you do something you like. Kiba will clean the whole classroom before he can leave. Hinata can leave to prepare for her class demonstration, which will be up by next week. The two of you are dismissed. Hinata and Kiba looked in dismay as Iruka strode to his desk and sat behind it. I guess I better get started, Kiba said with a sigh as he picked up a cloth and a bucket of water. I will stay with you, Hinata said softly. We did the prank together, I'll stay until you're done. Oh, Hinata, you're a real pal, Kiba said with his eyes shining brightly. Tell you what, I will bring you to the guys later. Naruto can surely help with your demonstration next week. N3 paused as S3 alerted him of a situation through their shared mental link. I've detected some possible hints of the Uchiha's rebellion plot. Do you wish me to play it to you while I record it for the boss? S3 asked. Yes, S3, do it, N3 said at his position, leaning against the wall of the south side of the Uchiha compound. How is the progress? A sharp male voice boomed inside N3's head. The Anbu patrol plans that Itachi had provided as a great help. We were able to remain undetected while we scouted the rest of the clans. A younger male voice said. We currently have the schedule of the sentry shifts for the Nara, Yamanaka, Akamichi, Tenchi, Asura and Hyuga clans. There has been some difficulties with discerning the patrol timings for the Inuzuka and Aburame. Their dogs and bugs are making it difficult for us to spy on them. Good, a gravel old voice said in satisfaction. Thank you, Shisui, your team has done great work. These clans are some of those that are devotedly loyal to the Sandaime. We need to force them out of the fight during our takeover so that there would be less Uchiha casualties. Did you locate the rooms of the clan heirs? Yes, here you are, Elder Chizu. Shisui said. I've drawn out the plans of each clan compounds and marked the rooms of each of the clan heirs. Pardon me for a wild thought, but shouldn't we include the Senju clan in our plans? Surely you are joking. The currently Senju clan is a mockery of what it used to be. They will be of no threat to us. They may be known as the clan of 1,000 techniques, but much of the clan had been decimated by the past wars and the attack of the Kyuubi. That clan is now most filled with average ninjas and civilians who claimed high positions on the civilian council, a disgrace to the Shodai and Nadaime. A female voice said scornfully. Don't be hasty in your judgment, Medena. Elder Chizu said sternly. Shisui brought out a valid point. The Senju clan was known as the clan of 1,000 techniques for a reason. They had ninjas who were specialists in ninjutsu, genjutsu and taijutsu. Even without any bloodlines, some in the clan are still able to go against a group of our best ninjas and disable them. But they would be impractical to our current plan. Tsunade Senju remains the undisputed clan head and heir of the clan, and with her disappearance the Senju clan is currently ruled by a democratic committee. There are no clan heirs for us to kidnap and use as leverage against the clan. What we can do right now, however, is to keep an eye on them while we think of other ways to deal with them. We all know that they would not take kindly to the Uchiha ruling over Konoha. You might also want someone to keep an eye on that Itachi as well. He seemed a bit unstable to me, Medena said cautiously. Itachi is loyal to the clan. Shisui quickly spoke out. I've known him for a long time. Yes, you do know him for a long time, don't you? Another male voice said. Perhaps it might be wise for you to keep frequent tabs on him. As his childhood friend, he wouldn't suspect you of any ill intentions. But Elder Adano, Shisui protested but was cut in by another voice. How's Riko and your family, Shisui? Medena asked curiously, a hint of threat in her voice. They live near the west wall of the compound, don't they? We really should have the sentry patrol that place more often. After the services you've done for the clan, we do have a duty to keep your loved ones safe. Please, Council Member Medena, my family and my betrothed need not receive any special treatment from the clan. Shisui said, his voice breaking slightly. I am loyal to the clan and will obey the orders of the elders and the council. Now, Medena, Shisui's loyalty has never been in doubt. It is of poor taste to use such veiled threats. Elder Adano said disapprovingly. Shisui, do keep an eye on Itachi for any signs that he might turn against the clan. That child might be the greatest ninja ever produced in this clan since Madara's time, but he has always been a pacifist. I'll do that, Elder Adano. I'll promise I'll do whatever it takes to make sure Itachi stays loyal to the clan. Shisui said grimly. Very well, now that matter has been settled. Shisui, try to get the sentry timings and the layout of the Inuzuka and Aburame clan compounds within the next 2 days. We need to move fast before the Sandaime finds out about the clan's plan. Now, let's get on with the rest of the clan business. Shisui, you are dismissed. Get Fugaku and his group of council men to come here while you're out, will you? They are needed for the discussion of the clan business around Konoha. Elder Chizu said. In the meantime, the clan's revenue has been dropping since the last month, mostly due to the new shops we set up in Konoha last year. Perhaps it's time we step out of the fur business. It hasn't been doing well in this village. Could any of you suggest any other alternatives while we wait for Fugaku and the others? That's enough, S3. Record the rest of the conversation just in case. N3 said as his forehead crumpled into a frown. It seems that the Uchiha clan is strife with clan politics, and some members of the council are not averse to underhand tactics like threatening the lives of a ninja's family or even kidnapping of other clans' heirs to achieve what they want. The boss might have to interfere with this mess directly. S3, perhaps it's time boss extends a branch of friendship to Sasuke Uchiha. We might need to toughen him up so that he could protect himself when the time comes. Boss's group seemed to be getting bigger. I've just received a message from Boss Asuka that Hinata Hyuga had just joined Boss's study group. S3 reported. Boss's study group do seem to be made up of a lot of the clan heirs that are currently targeted, aren't they? N3 pondered. I wonder if there's a way we can use that to disrupt the Uchiha's plan of revolt. Sarutobi sighed as he looked at the grim faces of his old teammates Homura and Kaharu, as well as the emotionless expression of Danzo. They had received the news of the Uchiha clan's plans to revolt against Konoha with surprising silence. Homura and Kaharu were part of the Konoha Council, while Danzo was an honorary member. due to his past contributions as leader of the disbanded Anbu faction called the Foundation. If it was at all possible, he would have left Danzo out of this meeting, but Homura and Kaharu had insisted on his presence, and Sarutobi was forced to concede to them. The Uchiha clan attempting a coup against Konoha. Danzo mused in a dry voice. Somehow that does not surprise me. We were lucky that out of all the Uchihas, Itachi had remained loyal to Konoha and reported this serious matter to us. Kaharu said calmly, though her aged face was creased into a frown. Right now we have to find a way to effectively deal with this planned rebellion before it actually happens. We need to nip it in the bud before it escalates into a full-blown conflict. Homura said gravely, our ninja forces have only started building up in recent years after the Kyuubi attack. The loss of ninja lives if we have to end up battling the Uchiha clan is unthinkable. Konoha might not be able to get up from such a serious setback anytime soon. Which is why I was thinking of initiating some peaceful negotiation between the Uchiha clan and Konoha. Sarutobi injected smoothly, perhaps to entice them with some position of power to satisfy their need for superiority. That is why I called the council. We need to decide what this village is willing to give the Uchiha clan in order to rebuild our peaceful ties. Are you in your right mind, Sarutobi? Danzo said, giving a disdainful look at Sarutobi. You've just told us that part of the Uchiha's plan coup involves mass killing members of your clan and you still want to negotiate with them. Now is the perfect opportunity to eradicate the clan once and for all. The Uchihas are already under suspicion of being involved in the Kyuubi attack 8 years ago. With their current action, it all the more proves that they are a threat to this village. Not all the Uchihas are willing participants of their clan's plans. We can't pass judgment on the whole clan just because of what those in power plan to do. Sarutobi said, trying to persuade Homura and Kaharu to at least see from his point of view. If I can just reach an agreement with the Uchiha clan council, perhaps this whole matter could be resolved peacefully. But do you know which Uchihas are on your side and who are not? Danzo demanded with a hard glare. Right now we have the element of surprise, promising us a swift victory if we act against the clan. But if you begin your peaceful negotiations within just a few weeks of the Uchiha's planned coup, they would have their guards up and the Uchihas are very capable ninjas. They would suspect a mole in their clan, and we would lose the advantage of having Itachi observe their every move. Even if we plan to muster a military attack against them at a later date, it would be much tougher. Are you willing to lose more ninja lives just to try to establish some meaningless peace talks with them? Danzo is right, Homura said, looking at Sarutobi steadily. This is no laughing matter. We have no guarantee that the peace negotiations will work, and if it fails, that means we have to marshal Konoha's ninja force to deal with the Uchiha assault. Casualties would be high, especially if we're dealing with the Sharingan users. But right now we've the advantage of being able to launch a sneak attack of our own. As Danzo had said, that is the more viable option for the village. But, Sarutobi grit his teeth as he continues saying in a firm voice. We can't just condemn even the innocent Uchihas to death or worse. If you can just give me some time. Sarutobi, you are the Hokage. You need to put the village's welfare first instead of trying to solve everything peacefully. Kaharu said with steel in her voice. There are some things in this world that needs to be met with force. Kaharu, Sarutobi said as he tried to persuade his old teammate to his side. I can't just. A knock sounded at the door. Sarutobi looked up as he gave the rest in the office a signal to halt their speech. He then made several hand seals as he dispelled the ninjutsu he had placed in his office, to trap sounds in the room and to prevent anyone from spying into the meeting. Wave of chakra spread from him as Sarutobi felt the ninjutsu that had surrounded the room vanished. Come in, Sarutobi called out. The door opened, and a cat-masked Anbu stepped in, holding a familiar scroll in his hands. Faint hope stirred in his heart as Sarutobi walked around his desk to receive the message personal from the Anbu. Is there anything else? Sarutobi asked just to be sure. Nothing else. The eye had just dropped off this scroll via another delivery boy. The cat-masked Anbu replied. Good, return to your post and report if you have further news. Sarutobi said. The Anbu nodded as he stepped out of the room, closing the door behind him. Sarutobi's hands flashed into several hand seals as chakra poured out from him, sealing the room again from any spying ninjutsu techniques. What does the scroll contain, Sarutobi? Homura asked with a frown as Sarutobi unrolled the scroll, his eyes visibly widening. Is it from Itachi? No, not Itachi. Sarutobi said distractedly as he scanned the contents of the scroll. A smile curved grimly on his face as he passed the scroll to Homura. Kaharu and Danzo leaned closer to look at the contents of the scroll. Kaharu gave a gasp as she began reading. Plans of how the Uchiha plan to disable the major clans loyal to Konoha, as well as a list of Uchiha Council members involved in the meeting. Kaharu said as she looked at Sarutobi with narrowed eyes. Who is the one that sent this scroll? I have a powerful infiltration agent monitoring the Uchiha clan once I learned what had happened. This was what he had found within a day of receiving the mission. Sarutobi explained, a look of visible triumph on his face. Just give me a few more days. I will need a few more days to see if he can list down which Uchihas are involved in the plan and which members of the clan are against it. Once we have the list, we might be able to come up with a way to deal with the Uchiha clan without wiping all of them out. Homura gave a sigh as he lifted his eyes from the scroll. Neither do I want to destroy the clan unless there's a need to. Sarutobi, do you trust this informant? Homura asked, looking at Sarutobi. Yes, he had proved himself and his own abilities at infiltration many times in my service. Sarutobi said with a nod, and he had uncovered all this within a day. Kaharu continued with a suspicious look. Since when do the village train an infiltration agent so skilled in the art? Infiltrating the Uchiha clan isn't an easy task, and to be able to spy on the Uchiha Council without them being aware of it, is the informant another Uchiha? No, I mean, Sarutobi trailed off as he stopped himself from saying that he didn't know the informant personally. If he admit that, he would lose his current position of power with Homura and Kaharu instantly. He is a trustworthy informant whose services have been proven time and again. There's no need to know who he is. In fact, the less who knows, the better it would be for everyone. Kaharu gave Sarutobi another weary look before conceding with a nod. Very well, in light of the new information, I'd say we wait a few more days for further news before deciding on an overall plan to tackle the Uchiha problem. Kaharu said, but tell your informant and Itachi to warn us at once if the clan decided to push forward their plans of turning against Konoha. At the same time, it might be best to put the Anbu on silent alert, without telling them the reason why. We'll also need to avoid taking missions that would send Jonins too far out from the village. We might need to muster all the Jonins at once if there's a surprise attack. Kaharu's suggestion is sound. I am with her, Homura said as he rolled up the scroll, passing it back to Sarutobi. I just hope this informant does not fail us. He will not, Sarutobi said, trying to sound convincing. He turned his head to see Danzo deep in thoughts as the one-eyed man stared at the seal on the scroll. Naruto stirred in his bed as the sound of the door opening woke him up. Looking at the intruder, he realized that he was looking at one of his clones. Why are you here? Did anything happen? Naruto asked as he looked at his clone. Something did happen, the clone said with a grin as he passed him a scroll and a heavy pouch. I didn't get Sika to send a message to you because this is something you need to see for yourself. And I asked Sika to check if the Hokage is spying on you again before coming in. Don't worry, the Anbu watching the doorsteps are distracted for the moment. You didn't do anything too outrageous, did you? Naruto asked dryly as he accepted the scroll and heavy pouch from the clone. Nothing too out of the ordinary. I created another clone and got it to transform into a wild cat which attacked the Anbu on watch. I entered the house while he was distracted. The clone said with a shrug. Naruto nodded as he set the scroll to one side of the small bed while he untied the strings of the pouch. His eyes widened at the amount of money that filled the pouch to the brim. What is this? What did you do? Naruto asked as he looked at the clone accusingly. Did you rob the bank? And tell me your clone number. I am N14, the clone you assigned to keep watch over the Hokage mountain. And please, I am a clone of you, you should know that we would never steal. The clone said with an indignant sniff. The money in the pouch is payment for your successful completion of the Uchiha mission. The Hokage also left another scroll requiring our services to list down all those Uchihas who are involved in planning the coup. He also wants a list of the Uchihas who are against the plans of revolt. To quote the words in the scroll, he needs it done as soon as possible, and it is another S-rank mission by the way. The Hokage wrote that this new mission will have a higher pay grade. That is provided you can pass him the lists of names. Oh, Naruto said as he took a moment to recover from his shock. I was planning to keep a watch at the Uchiha clan compound anyway, this just gave me more incentives. Sika, do you think we should have a backup plan ready in case whatever Old Man Hokage and the Konoha Council plan to do fails? Based on their experience in dealing with village affairs, it may be wise for us to stay out of the matter in case we disturb whatever they are planning. Sika replied, I can however stimulate several counter plans to deal with the Uchiha clan in my free time. In the meantime, it might be wise to keep tabs on the clan heirs currently in your study group. Making them stronger might also give them a higher chance of survival in the event that an attack does occur. Since there's no way they could match power with the adult ninjas, dodging and hiding skills should be ingrained into them during the afternoon practice sessions. That's a good idea, I've already set a clone each to keep watch over them. But if they were at least able to hide or survive until helps arrived in the event of an attack, that's one less thing I need to worry about. Naruto said with a nod, I'll need to come up with a new training plan to use later in the afternoon. We're meeting again after school to practice, though I doubt Kiba would be enthusiastic about practicing only dodging and hiding. To successfully deal with the psyche of a human like Kiba, you need to use something to attract his interest. Perhaps if you promise to teach him a new devastating technique after he had accomplished the dodging and hiding lessons, he might be more inclined to put forth his best effort. Sika remarked, that's true, the carrot and the stick method. I'll need to think of something that would capture his interest, but to be fair, I'll have to teach everyone in the group. Naruto said with a grin, looking down as he hefted the pouch of money in his hand. But right now, we need to decide what to do with the money. I've been planning to buy some equipment for the study group to use for training, so I'll be getting those later. But there'll still be a lot left over. Maybe it is time to start the plan. The clone in front of Naruto suggested, wiggling his eyebrows. You know, the one that you've been planning for those past few weeks. Ah, yes, that plan. Naruto said musingly as he and the clone shared a knowing look. We do have the money now to kickstart that pet project of your own. The clone continued with an understanding nod, it would be a measure of our infiltration skills. N14 is right, the funds that are recently acquired are more than enough to begin the operation. The Sika on Naruto's wrist said as it provided his input. But you will need to forge the necessary documents first. I can get started on that right away. Naruto said with a smile as his hand flashed into several hand seals. 3 clones came into being, standing beside Naruto as he turned to address them. Alright, you guys know what to do. Operation Alias has now began. Itachi looked through the contents of the scroll that Sratobi had passed him. His face passive and emotionless as he read the details of the Uchiha Council meeting from the day before. His eyes didn't even flicker when he noted that scroll had state the Uchiha Council ordering Shisui to track his movements. Impressive, Itachi said simply as he looked up at Sarutobi. I can at least verify that the council members listed in the scroll were also present at the previous meeting when they summoned me. They were there to verify my allegiance to the clan. That part of the scroll regarding the names of the council members are true, so I've little doubt that the rest of the information written down is true as well. But I wonder how he was able to get his hand on this information. It was as though he was there in the meeting himself. The Uchiha clan might not have the Byakugan of the Hyuga clan, but were not a clan that could be infiltrated easily. Perhaps he might have utilized a spying ninjutsu technique that allows him to keep watch over the meeting in the distance. Sarutobi said in a musing voice. I do have a few such techniques of my own, but unfortunately, they prove ineffective against the Uchiha Council's chakra shields. If he does utilizes a long-distance spying technique, that would explain how he was able to gather so much information around town in such a short time. Itachi said with sudden enlightenment. But if that's the case, that means his technique is able to pass through chakra shields. If that is true, then yes, his technique would have to be able to pass through the chakra shields for him to be able to spy on the Uchiha Council. Sarutobi said, looking into the distance with a sigh. I would dearly love to know that technique if it exists. But what's to stop him from using that technique to spy on us right now? Itachi asked with a frown. The chakra shields utilized by the Uchiha Council is what is commonly used in the Anbuin. The Konoha Council. Sarutobi finished for Itachi. I know, I've thought about that. But if such is the case, there is little that we could do. Let's not worry about such matters right now. This infiltration agent seemed to have the welfare of Konoha in mind at the current moment. I think there should not be much problem if we leave this issue to be investigated at a later date. Right now, let's focus on the problem regarding your clan. You've read that they are setting Shisui to trail you. Yes, I could hardly have avoided reading that. Itachi replied dryly. Good, then you know that from now on, meetings between you and me, or any of the Konoha Council must be strictly limited. We do not want your clan to have any suspicions about you. Sarutobi cautioned. Itachi nodded as he pursed his lips grimly. I know, and I have my own plans. To deal with Shisui, you need not worry, Hokage. Hiba watched with barely concealed eagerness as Naruto reduced a sturdy log into pieces of splinters. Naruto's hands moved in a blur in front of him as he slammed his bare fist multiple times into the log. Naruto had gotten them to run a grueling 10 laps around the training field before this to train up their speed today. It was an exercise that Kiba was forced to concede to, when Naruto had promised to show all of them a super new technique after the run. Shikamaru was not very enthusiastic about the run either, but he had followed along behind others when the exercise had started. This is called the repeating fist technique. Naruto was explaining as he turned around to face them, the log already split into bits and pieces behind him. It is a taijutsu technique that requires the user to focus physical energy into his hands and palms, allowing his palms to strike at the target multiple times. That is so cool, Hiba exclaimed excitedly. Teach me, I will, but first you need to learn how to focus your physical energy into your palm. Naruto said as he took out several thin books from a bag besides him. I've copied out the ways to manipulate physical energy and the technique of the repeating fist inside the books for each of you. Take it and we can practice them during our next few training sessions. How do you know the repeating fist technique? Shikamaru asked as he accepted one of the books, scanning through the contents. I don't think focusing physical energy is taught at school. Who cares? Hiba said excitedly as he was already reading intently through the contents. This is a new and awesome technique. Once we master it, we can show everyone at class. That wasn't my intent, Naruto said dryly at Kiba's comment before turning to reply Shikamaru. And to answer your question, this technique was left to me by a family friend. I've never met him, but he says he knew my parents, and he has been leaving books and scrolls at my doorsteps for the past few days. I thought I might as well teach you guys the technique so that we could practice together. Thank you, Naruto, Hinata shyly spoke up from the side. For sharing this technique with us. It seems very powerful. Supposedly it is very powerful. But right now I could only manage 3 consecutive palm strikes within a second, with breaks in between each of the consecutive strikes. According to the original scroll I received, masters of this technique are able to do 100 palm strikes per second to a single target, causing massive physical damage. Naruto said, scratching his head with a bashful look. I am afraid I still have a long way to go. 100 palm strikes in a second. Hiba said reverently, stars shining in his eyes. That is awesome. Come on, let's practice this technique. Imagine everyone's faces when we show them this in class. Naruto watched Kiba with a slight grin, seeing the boy acting like his energetic and excitable self. It might be easier for you guys to absorb the knowledge if we do some on-the-spot training, Naruto said as he faced everyone. But while you are all trying out the hands-on techniques in the book, Hinata, come with me, I'll get you started on that advanced taijutsu you're supposed to show the class. Why, yes, Hinata said, dropping her eyes shyly as she followed along after Naruto silently as they left the boys, going to a corner of the training field. Naruto gave the shy girl a measuring look. He had been required to learn how to read the personalities of people during the infiltration courses he had signed up with Sika. Right now he could tell that Hinata Hyuga was a shy but sweet girl, and that her overwhelming shyness would be a crippling flaw in her ninja career if she doesn't get over it fast. It was one thing that he planned to help Hinata overcome if she remained part of the group. I've memorized the contents of the advanced taijutsu scroll you showed us yesterday and have tried it out yesterday night, Naruto said as Hinata looked up in surprise. Like I said, the best way to learn something is to practice it. Come at me with that taijutsu technique, Hinata. It will allow you to see firsthand the pros and cons of the technique. Uruka-sensei might quiz you on these factors as well. But you've only seen the scroll that one time yesterday afternoon. Hinata said with visible surprise that one of the most average students in class was able to memorize the scroll within one sitting. Let's just say I've a pretty good memory, Naruto said with a quirk of his lips, giving Hinata a confident grin. Hinata blushed and looked down as she felt a weird feeling swept over her. For the first time in her life, Hinata felt safe and reassured, in front of someone she still do not quite know. This Naruto just gave her a sense of reliability and trustworthiness. I noticed you've been holding back during the taijutsu training matches with the others yesterday. Naruto continued, not noticing Hinata's sudden shyness. You were afraid of hurting them, weren't you? Hinata gave Naruto a startled look at his perceptiveness and gave a guilty nod. I don't like to see people get hurt. Hinata said haltingly, not meeting Naruto's eyes. That can be a serious flaw in a ninja. A ninja is supposed to be a weapon for hire, you do know that, right? Hurting people will be part of the job description. Naruto asked as Hinata gave a resigned nod. How about I teach you a method to deal with this problem of yours? A method? Hinata asked, looking up. Naruto gave a nod as he said. Yes, before we begin the taijutsu training, in fact for all the taijutsu training in the future, I need you to imagine that you're all alone in this training field, and that you're fighting against a training dummy. Not a human, not a living thing, just something made of wood and connected by pieces of metal. Shisui trailed after Itachi in the distance. As the famed Shisui of the body flicker, he was one of the few in Konoha who could track Itachi without his knowing. Part of him wished that he was not assigned this duty, but he well knew what could happen if he refused the request of the Uchiha clan. Itachi had spent much of the morning in the Anbu building before he was called to the Hokage office for a short meeting. The room itself was warded against sound and entry, which indicates that the Hokage had something important and confidential to discuss with Itachi. It was not surprising, Itachi was the current Konoha Anbu captain. Interaction with the Hokage was one of his duties, but Shisui had noted down the time that Itachi had spent within the Hokage's office. The Uchiha elders would want him to keep track of such matters. No more than 15 minutes had passed before Itachi had left the Hokage office, returning to the Anbu headquarters where he had stayed for much of the afternoon. It was around mid-afternoon that Shisui sighted Itachi leaving the Anbu building again and had begun trailing after him. Itachi had avoided most of the busy roads, and instead head out to one of the enclosed training area that was vaguely familiar to Shisui. This particular training area was filled with huge trees that were the signature of the village. It was also the perfect place for Shisui to trail after Itachi, for there was a lot of hiding places. Itachi pressed deeper into the woods before stopping beside a flowing river. Shisui paused a distance behind him, on top one of the trees. As he hides behind the branches, he wondered what Itachi was doing here. Thoughts ran through his head. Was Itachi meeting someone here? Was he really betraying the Uchiha clan like the elders had suspected he would? Shisui took a deep breath to calm his mind, which was running wild with theories. He settled down quietly as he began a silent watch on Itachi. This is where I first met you. Itachi spoke out, facing the river. His voice carried loud and clear, cutting through the quietness of the woods. Shisui stilled as his eyes scanned the surrounding, wondering if Itachi was talking to a third party hidden somewhere. You thought I was an arrogant brat then, the prodigy of the Uchiha clan, the one who would surpass the power of the Uchiha ninjas in just a few more years. Itachi continued with a sad laugh. Shisui frowned. There doesn't seem to be anyone in the surrounding area, unless they were remarkably well hidden. Has Itachi finally cracked? You challenged me to a duel here. The loser has to do what the winner says, you said. Itachi said, his clear voice carrying to Shisui's ears. Shisui stilled as a stray thought emerged from the depths of his memories. Surely Itachi wouldn't have meant that. If I lose to you, I would have to step down from the title of the Uchiha prodigy. Itachi continued, seemingly talking to the air, while Shisui remained listening as dread started pooling in his stomach. But when you lose, I demand that you become my first real friend. Do you still remember that, Shisui? Shisui froze. Itachi knew he was here. As he contemplated whether he should step forward and face Itachi, Itachi's voice stopped him. You are still my best friend. I understand if you will not show yourself. I will leave something here for you. Burn it after you have read it, Itachi said. He stood by the river for a few more seconds before walking away, disappearing into the woods. Shisui waited until he was sure Itachi was not in the immediate area, before he hopped down the tree, landing on the soft grass lightly, and made his way towards the river. An ordinary brown envelope was wedged between several rocks. Shisui picked it up as he extracted the letter inside. 9 simple words were written on the clean white sheet. I will protect you, and your family. I swear. Shisui drew in a shuddering breath as he read the words, a tear trickling down his face. Moments later, there was a gust of wind as Shisui disappeared, the ashes of the envelope and the letter floating gently onto the river which was flowing into Konoha. There was always a long queue to be found at the identification registration counter. It was understandable as those seeking to become a permanent Konoha resident need to be registered at one of the 5 counters open from 9 in the morning to 5 in the evening. Tadori, a self-proclaimed merchant and inventor, was at one of the queue in front of the leftmost counter. His appearance was that of a brown-haired young man with a distinctive square jaw. It was an appearance that spoke of a certain trustworthiness without a look of guile in his eyes. Next, the clerk at his counter called up as the one in front of him moved off. Tadori shuffled towards the counter, passing the stack of identification papers to the female clerk. Yuriko Tadori, born in Hashiako, a farming village near the borders of Fire Country. The clerk browsed through the papers. It said here that you wish to register yourself as a merchant and inventor. You do know that Konoha charges a registration fee for those wishing to open business in the village. Yes, I've read the rules and regulations, Tadori said, holding up a bulging purse. I've prepared 50 ryo for both the identification and business registration. Good, the clerk said as she accepted the purse, counting the money contained inside. Your papers are in order and the fee has been paid. Give me a minute to pass you the Konoha identification papers. Tadori waited as the woman began filling up several forms before stamping them with the official Konoha emblem. Here you go, the clerk said with a smile as she handed Tadori a stack of papers. Welcome to Konoha, and I hope your new business will do well. Thank you, Tadori said as he accepted the papers with relief before walking away. Behind him, the clerk called out for the next in queue. Walking out of the administration building, he walked into a side alley where 2 older men were waiting. You have got your merchant pass, one of them asked as he held up his own business pass to set up a construction firm. Yes, the forged documents worked without any problems, Tadori replied with a nod as he let them see the papers. Good, I've gotten my pass to operate as a teacher as well. The second male said as his hands flashed into various hand seals. It's time to report back to boss. Seconds later, there was a swirl of wind as all 3 men used the body flicker technique before disappearing from the alley, together with the documents that signifies their existence as a new resident of Konoha. Sarutobi looked up as the door opened, with Sume Inuzuka and Shibi Aburame, both clan heads of their respective clans, stepping in orderly as they stood to attention in front of him. Sarutobi set down the papers he had been looking over, and pushed them to one side. You've arrived, Sarutobi said with a nod. Please close the door, I've some sensitive matters I need to discuss with the 2 of you. Understood Hokage-sama, Shibi said as he moved and closed the door shut. The 2 Jonin-level ninjas froze as a wave of chakra pulsed from Sarutobi, sealing the room in a chakra shield. Ah, crap, Sume muttered heavily as she swiveled to look at Sarutobi. This can't be a good thing. The last time I was in a room with chakra shielding was when I accepted that S-rank mission 2 years ago. Indeed, it's been a while since I was ordered to a meeting that needs to be heavily shielded. Shibi noted calmly as he moved to stand beside Sume. What did you call us here today for, Hokage-sama? Surely if it's an S-rank mission, there should be more ninjas present than the 2 of us. This is no ordinary mission, and currently, only the 2 of you will know. The risk of this information spreading is too great. Sarutobi said grimly. Listen carefully, Sume and Shibi, what I am to tell you in this room must not be revealed to others, not even of your clan members. The only things you're allowed to tell your clan members are the instructions I need the 2 of you to pass to them. A mission that involves both our clans. Sume's face turned grave as she looked at Satobi. What is this about? As the clan head of the Inuzuka, I bear the right to reject any mission that would put my clan in danger. I am well aware of that soon. Sarutobi said with a sigh. What I need you to do would not cause any danger for both your clans. But it is a matter that needs to be done with the utmost secrecy. Shibi, I need you to tighten your guards in the Aburame compound for this week, especially near the rooms of your main house. As for you Sume, I need you to do the same thing, with one exception. You are to keep a secret lookout with Shibi near your compound for anyone that might be spying on your clan. Once the intruder or intruders are sighted, take no action against them. Arrange for a way where you can pass a message to the guards on duty. The guards would then need to start a conversation. The conversation needs to involve a fictional lie. You need not copy what I say word for word, but the conversation needs to highlight that your clan had recently detected a presence outside the compound for a few nights and that they are tightening security for the next few weeks. Another misleading fact needs to be added in the conversation, that you assume as the clan head had found out that the Aburame clan had also encountered the same problem and that both clan heads of your clans would be meeting tomorrow to discuss about this. That is surprising. Shibi cut in. The truth is the sentry bugs did detect several presences outside the clan for the past few nights, though no guards had ever found anyone when a search was conducted. It is the same with my clan. The fake conversation you wish us to stage is most certainly not a fictional lie. Sume said, giving Sarutobi a hard look. The guard dogs had scented humans outside the clan compound at odd hours in the night several times for the past few days, but as with Shibi, the guards on duty could never find any trace of whoever is out there when they went out to search. I've actually planned to increase the guards on duty even if you did not call us and you seem to have an idea what's going on, Hokage-sama. What's all this about? Sarutobi looked at Sume and Shibi grimly as he shook his head as if lost in thoughts. So the information is true. Sarutobi muttered to himself before giving a heavy sigh. Sume with her sharp ears heard the sentence as she looked at the Hokage in anticipation. Very well, you two should have the right to know, Sarutobi said in a voice loud enough for both of them to hear. What I tell you now is only for your ears only. The guards you stationed will have to be sworn to secrecy as well, though under no circumstances must they be told of what I am about to tell you. Is this understood? Yes, Hokage-sama, Sume and Shibi said in unison as they stood to attention. The Uchiha Council are planning to revolt and take over the village. Sarutobi said in a strained voice. What? Sume shouted. If the room had not been shielded, her voice would probably have been heard outside the room. Calm down and let me continue, Sume. Sarutobi said with a quelling look. Sume quickly silenced herself. This information has come from a trustable source. The problem is we need more time to gather more information before the Uchiha Council acts. Increasing the guards at both your clans, and letting out the false information that you Sume and Shibi are meeting to discuss about perceived intrusion is a delaying tactic for the village. Since both of your clans are considered clans with a sizable ninja force, and your loyalty to Konoha is without question, the Uchihas would not dare to leave both your clans at their backs when they decided to start their coup. What the hell are those assholes planning to do to both our clans? Sume burst out, unable to hold her question in as her eyes narrowed in anger. First you told us to increase our guards, then you told us that the Uchiha are planning to revolt. It doesn't take a genius to realize that the Uchihas must be the ones alerting the dogs and the bugs in both our clans. Which means part of their plans involves harm to our clans in some ways. What is it? It is not just your two clans that are affected. All the clans that are loyal to the village are affected. Sarutobi said gravely. The only reason I call the both of you for this mission is that in the current time, according to my source, the only clans that the Uchihas had not managed to successfully scout are both of your clans. Not scouted. That's a diplomatic word to describe what they are doing. Shibi said in a cold voice. Who then have the Uchiha spies already spied on in their pursuit to achieve what they wanted? The Uchiha are attempting to plot out the patrol timing of several clans, as well as mark out the rooms of the clan heirs. Currently, they had the patrol plans for the Nara, Yamanaka, Akamichi, Tenchi, Asura and Hyuga clans. Sarutobi said with a weary sigh. The nerve of those bastards. Sume fumed as she thought fiercely. If they need to know the rooms for the clan heirs, then they must be. Oh, you've got to be kidding me. Those spineless worms intend to use the children as hostages, don't they? Apparently they're not even ninjas enough to take over the village with just their men. Shibi seemed unaffected by Sume's angry words as he continued looking at Sarutobi in silence. His calm facade was undisturbed by the turbulent storm of emotions that was Sume. Why weren't the rest of the clans informed? Shibi asked quietly. The less who knows about this matter will mean less chance of this secret spreading. If the Uchiha Council were alerted, there's a high chance that they might push forward their plans of a coup when we were least expecting it. Sarutobi revealed. Secrecy would also ensure the safety of the informant whom I've sent to gather information on the Uchihas. A lot is hanging on the information he would bring to me about their plans. I need you both to act natural as well. That means no extra guards for your clan heirs that might alarm the Uchiha Council. Treason from the Uchiha clan is not something we can take lightly. As the village council had stated to me, this is a serious matter, especially with the force they could muster to counter us. We would need the element of surprise if we are to put an end to what they are planning with as little bloodshed as possible. I understand what you mean, Hokage-sama. I'll follow your instructions, Shibi said with a cool nod. I don't like it, but I will follow your orders. There's one thing though, Shibi, would you mind setting one of your bugs on Hana and Kiba at all times? Sume asked through gritted teeth as she turned to look at the Aburame clan head. Your bugs are inconspicuous, and since I can't suddenly send one of the guard dogs to watch over them, I am hoping you might be willingly to tag my daughter and son so that we can know where they are. In case something happens to them. I can do that for you, Sume, especially since I'll be doing the same for my son as well. Shibi said in agreement. Good, I've told you the roles both your clans will play in delaying the Uchiha's council's plans. But be prepared, I might need to call upon you both and the rest of the clans next time round when we stage our counterattack. Sarutobi said with a warning note. His hands flashed into the hand seals that would release the chakra shields. You are released. Oh, I can't wait until that happens. Sume said grimly as she stalked out of the room, Shibi following up at slower pace behind her. Sarutobi watched the two of them leave the room, trusting in the fact that they would follow the instructions of the mission that he had given to them. The song of a twirling bird song woke Naruto as he twisted awake with a groan. Rubbing his sleepy eyes, he looked around the training area that looked more like a thick forest than the clearing it used to be yesterday night. Naruto had slept under one of the recently sprouted tall trees with his things placed neatly near him. He had spent the night in the field training his wood-release techniques again and had been too tired to return to his little apartment. In theory he had access to unlimited chakra now, due to being able to access the Kyuubi's chakra anytime. This was not counting in his own chakra reserves which were growing at a very fast pace. Naruto had found out shortly after he had gotten the wood-release bloodline, that he could effortlessly pull out the Kyuubi's chakra and convert it to wood element chakra without harm. If his own chakra reserves were used up in training, he could always pull more chakra from the Kyuubi. The thing stopping him from doing that constantly was a limitation of his own body, which he had discovered at the beginning of his intense training. Even though he had near limitless power by relying on chakra from the Kyuubi, there was only so much exertion his chakra coils could take before they become damaged from long hours of training. Naruto thought wryly back to the first time he had overworked his chakra coils. It had been shortly after he had gained the wood-release bloodline and had attempted to go on a training spree. It had at first seemed to him that there had been no danger of him running out of chakra for all the techniques he wanted to try and learn, or so he had thought. However, shortly during the long training session, he discovered one sad fact about the human body. After 3 hours of chakra-intensive ninjutsu exercises, Naruto had collapsed onto the ground as severe pain coursed through his body. He had laid there for a pain-filled 2 hours before it subsided, and ended up resting the whole day, unable to use any technique. He would instantly collapse in pain if he tried to manipulate even the smallest amount of chakra. Sika had later revealed after much analysis and scanning of Naruto's body, that his chakra coils had been damaged from manipulating too much chakra for long hours. He had been lucky that the damage had not been permanent and that his chakra coils would heal with a day's rest. This little incident, according to Sika, was something that no Konoha ninjas had ever suffered before. This fact was made true, most probably because no ninjas could have enough chakra to run so many chakra-intensive techniques for a few hours straight. Naruto had later thought it ironic that while other ninjas would die from chakra exhaustion, he would instead die from chakra coil damage because he had the potential to burn out his chakra coils from using his limitless chakra reserves. The sentry clones reports that no one had been near this area while you rested. Sika noted within Naruto's head as it sensed its host coming awake. The clone stationed at your apartment sends a word of caution that he would dispel within another hour, and asked for you to return as soon as possible. On that note, all of your night clones would dispel within the hour as well. It is almost time to create your day clones. Arg, what a pain, Naruto said as he took out a water bottle and drank from it to quench his thirst. It's not as if I don't have enough chakra to spare. It's just that sometimes I wish they could last longer, like a few days, without me constantly renewing them. It could certainly spare me the every 12-hour headaches when their memories are dumped into me, though now that I think about it, I would probably get a more terrible headache if they last longer. I could compute ways to make your shadow clones last longer if that's your wish. Sika spoke up, but I would advise against creating more clones for extra assignments. From my scans of your body, you are just barely holding up against the mental pressure of having the memories and mental stress of 100 over clones dispelling every night and day. More clones might cause your body to collapse from too much mental stress. The subsequent damage which you might suffer is out of my calculations. Great. Naruto said, rolling his eyes. I seem to end up with weird conditions that no ninjas would ever suffer from. According to my calculations and survey of the people of this world, it is possible that there is only a 5.89% chance of ninjas who can create 100 over clones lasting for half a day. This calculation takes into account that they will also be able to survive the mental stress and exhaustion when the clones dispel at once. Sika noted helpfully, you are in theory not alone in your affliction. Thank you, Sika. That information just makes me feel a lot better about myself. Naruto said dryly, even though he knew that sarcasm was lost on Sika. In short, we'll just have to stick to the 100 over clones that I am creating every day and night for patrol, training and computation duties. Now that we are talking about computation duties, what research projects do we currently have on hand? I will list out the project lineups as well as the computation costs they will take up every night. Sika said as a holographic image of a word list appeared in front of Naruto even as Sika continued his narration. Creating ninjutsu seal arrays for 1. Shadow clone technique 50% computation 70% estimated complete. Creating basic symbology seal arrays for 1. Heal 10% computation 2% estimated complete. 2. Fire bolt 10% computation 3% estimated complete. 3. Antidote 10% computation 2% estimated complete. 4. Ice needle 10% computation 3% estimated complete. 5. Silence 10% computation 2% estimated complete. Wow, I didn't realize you were doing so much every night. Naruto said, scratching his head in embarrassment. You've previously given me instructions to create seal arrays for the shadow clone technique as well as research ways to creating symbology seal arrays. Since your instructions into creating symbology seal arrays were vague, I've taken initiative and started research on 5 of the basic symbology techniques. Sika revealed. I see you've listed heal, firebolt and antidote as one of the research items. Naruto said as he gave a self-conscious look towards his shoulder and arm where he had imprinted the 3 symbology symbols onto his body. I've already got the 3 of them on my body, though I seldom have to use them. The fire bolt I create when I channel chakra through the fire bolt symbol always end up less impressive than a simple wood release technique, most probably due to my lack of fire affinity. I never had the chance to heal any flesh wounds or detoxify any poison either, seeing that I could regenerate on my own. It is regrettable that you are able to access only these 3 basic symbols through the imprint process on your body. Sika replied, but unfortunately, Federation symbology was originally created for humanoids with certain genetic structures. Only 9% of total Federation symbology users are able to access the full symbology techniques in Federation library by imprinting them onto their bodies. The remaining 91% were only able to access certain symbology symbols through the imprinting process. There's no need to be discouraged by this fact, Naruto. Well, I don't really regret it since my wood release bloodline is currently way cooler than the symbology techniques. Naruto said with a grin. But I am interested to find you researching the ice needle and silence symbology techniques. These two are part of the basic symbology techniques I am not compatible with. Does that mean if you are able to create a seal array for them, I might be able to use them simply through the seal array? Yes, Naruto, Sika replied. You've now seen the current research log. Would you like to suggest any adjustments to make room for research into creating longer-lasting shadow clones and reducing the mental stress when they dispel? Oh, okay. Well, how about reducing the computation power for Shadow Clone Seal Array to 20%, since it is almost complete? Naruto suggested. The two new research topics can have 15% of the freed-up computation powers each. It shall be done, Sika replied. Now I just have to create the new clones for the day shift. Naruto said as he formed his hands into a familiar hand seal. Inform the clones on duty to dispel once their replacement reach them, will you? There was a short pause before Sika replied. I've informed the clone Sikas. They will be passing the message to the Naruto clones. Good, Naruto said as 100 over clones appeared around him. Some of the clones were standing on what little space there was on the ground. But the bulk of the clones were gathered on the branches of the many trees in the training area. Alright, get moving guys before you break the branches. Yes boss, the clones called out in unison, deafening Naruto with the loud noise. Cheeky bastards. Naruto muttered good-naturedly as they shimmered from view, their clone Sika having overlaid the holographic invisibility cloak over their bodies. There was a large gust of wind which signaled their departure, causing Naruto to have to channel his chakra to his feet just to remain standing on the ground. Okay, a note for next time. 100 over clones using the body flicker technique at once is not a good thing for those staying behind. It has been noted. Sika replied. I don't mean you Sika. Naruto said in exasperation. I was just talking to my, never mind. Naruto gave a sigh. There are times Sika was just too literal for its own good. He leapt through the trees as he moved at a fast pace, making his way back to Konoha. There were still a lot of things he needed to do today. Hinata massaged her sore muscles as she watched the rest of the boys spar with each other. In the 3 days that had passed since she joined the group, they had been doing practice spar every day, besides the additional training Naruto had assigned to them. Apparently with her arrival, the small group now has even members for everyone to be paired with each other. Her current partner had been Choji, who was now rummaging in his school bag for some food. The two of them were waiting for the group spar to end, after which the boys would train the repeating fist technique together while Naruto coached Hinata in the advanced taijutsu style she was supposed to show the whole class soon. Hinata had been surprised at the rate she was picking up this new taijutsu technique, and the detailed pointers Naruto had been giving her. She had also been more and more comfortable with sparring against the guys in the group by practicing the visualizing technique Naruto had been teaching her. For the past 3 days when she had been partnered with Naruto, Shikamaru, Shino or Choji, Hinata had tried to focus on the mental image that she was fighting against a dummy instead of a living being. Of course, when she was up against Choji, she had to tweak the plumpness of the dummy in her mind a bit just to make it realistic, but other than that, it was getting easier and easier for her to spar against other people. Naruto had called this method visualization desensitizing. Something about using her own imagination to distract herself from her own fears and worries, and forcing her to become gradually insensitive to the thought of fighting another person. Hinata could not help but admire the blonde boy whom she had thought was just another average student in class. She had seen the persecution he had faced from some of the classmates, parents and other adults, and some part of her could relate to him being the underdog or being considered less than what he really is in other people's eyes. After all, she had encountered the same type of negative sentiments from the Hyuga elders in the clan house. Alright, we're done, Naruto said as his sparring partner, Shino, picked himself off the ground for the 10th time since the past 15 minutes. Remember what I said to you Shino, you're slower to guard your left from attack, you need to remedy that or your opponents could blindside you. I think the fact was drummed into my body after the 10th time you dropped me onto the ground. Shino commented a bit dryly. I'll work on it later. Good, Naruto said with a good-natured grin as he looked at everyone. Let's rest for a few minutes before we carry our own individual training together. Hinata, you seem to have rested enough. Are you ready to start the next round? I'll like to see how much improvements you've made to your advanced taijutsu stance over the night. Why, yes, I'm ready, Hinata said with a slight flush as she made her way towards him. Somehow sparring with the boys did not seem like a chore, instead she actually felt like she was having fun. Hinata followed Naruto with a gentle smile on her face as she promised herself silently that she would do Naruto and the boys proud, by showing her class a flawless execution of the new taijutsu technique Iruka-sensei wanted her to learn. Suddenly it occurred to her that her life did not seem so bad after all. Dusk was nearing as two figures settled silently on the branches near Training Ground 7, one of the training grounds for genins. Their attention was not at the training ground itself but on the neighboring plot of land which until 2 days ago belonged to the village. That's certainly something you don't see every day. The Anbu with a hawk mask noted. There's only the framework for the small house when I came through this area in the morning, and now they've already gotten half the walls built. I was on patrol duty last night and half the framework hadn't been set yet. The bear mask Anbu said dryly. I've never seen civilian builders construct something so fast before without any ninjutsu techniques. Who was the one that bought the land anyway? If I recall correctly, I think the report states a Mizuru Inakawa had bought the land. Apparently he's a master builder of some sort, and only recently settled down in Konoha. I remembered skimming through the reports which says he had registered to set up a building company. I guess those are his men working below. It's quite a feat to gather such a large number of workers within a few days of his business registration. Hawk replied, and all of them are not just simple bricklayers if the speed and skills they are building the house with is a guide. Bear said with suspicion. It's strange why a builder of a building company would buy land so far away from the village. Perhaps he likes nature, Hawk suggested, or it could be because the land in the outbound areas of Konoha are cheaper than the ones within the village itself. Not a lot of people like to live in the wild, not to mention land prices near training grounds are notoriously cheap. Though there's also the fact that few people actually buy said land and live on it. Well, other than crazy Ornu who lives near training ground 41. Ah, that old grouch, Bear grumbled. Well, I think we've better leave a note after our patrol, just to inform the other patrol squads to keep a lookout for this Mizuru and what he planned to do on his new land. That's fine with me, a little cautiousness never hurt, Hawk said as they vanished, moving on towards their next patrol point. Seconds after the Anbu's departure, the group of workers setting up the building looked up in unison at where the two Anbu used to be standing. Ah, crap, I did tell boss to let things run more slowly, but he gave me such a tight schedule. The one currently named Mizuru, a seemingly middle-aged man with a rugged beard and red hair complained to his men. Well, no use crying over spilt milk now, alright men, Anbu guys are gone, let's do the real building. The clones gave a chorus of agreement as they made several hand seals, casting various ninjutsu techniques at once. A trench was sunk into the earth to set up another side of the walls. Smooth wooden planks formed at a rapid rate from a few of the clones while others began carrying them to the framework of the house and started hammering them in, forming the walls. Now this is what I call real building in process, Mizuru said in satisfaction. Sika, pass a message to boss, will you? Let him know that the Anbu may be on to us and it's most certainly not my fault. Oh yeah, add in the words, I tell you so, with the exclamation marks. It shall be done, Sika said humorlessly as it transmits the somewhat juvenile message to their boss. Observations at the Hokage Tower reveals nothing of relevance. One of the Uchiha ninjas reported. There does not seem to be any high alert as would be the case if the Hokage was on to us. Good, good, one can only hope that things would stay that way until our plans are executed. Elder Tezu said in a satisfied voice. Shisui, what have you to report? One of the masked ninjas stepped forward and gave a bow to the gathered Uchiha Council members. Surveillance of Itachi for the past few days revealed that Itachi seemed to remain loyal to the clan. Apart from official Anbu business, Itachi never seek out the Hokage outside of duties. Shisui reported. However, a more worrying issue has arisen. The Aburame and the Inuzuka clans seem to be aware of the fact that someone is spying on them. They had tightened security around their compounds and apparently the clan heads are going to meet each other to discuss the matter. I see, Elder Adano said grimly. The Aburame and the Inuzuka clans have too large a ninja force to just ignore in our plans. I would suggest we stop surveillance on both clans for the current moment and resume again after a few days, to let them lower their guards. What are your opinions? I am agreeable to it. Mozu replied as Elder Adano looked at the gathered council members. Especially since it seems we have time and Itachi did not betray us. So am I. A few others of the council members nodded in agreement. Then Shisui, have your men lay low for the current moment. Elder Adano instructed as he handed a scroll to Shisui. We have another task for you. In the scrolls are the names of the council members who currently opposed us. We are aware of the persuasive effect of your Sharingan. Try to make them see the light of day by agreeing with our plans. It would certainly make a stronger statement if the Uchiha Council members were united in our decision when we reveal our course of action to the whole clan. If however you do not manage to persuade them, give Yashido their names, he will take care of them. Shisui shivered a little at the cold voice of Elder Adano before clutching the scroll and gave a quick nod. It shall be done, Shisui replied, his face a blank emotionless mask. Sarutobi froze as one of the Anbu on duty stepped in with a familiar-looking scroll. Almost a week had passed since he had sent the new mission parameters, and he had been spending time fretting if this mysterious ninja would be able to accomplish what he had requested. Apparently the reply would be contained within the scroll that had arrived. Cat just passed me the scroll. A new delivery boy just dropped this off at your home. The bear-masked Anbu remarked. Good, Sarutobi said, accepting the scroll with equal parts relief and also dread at what he would find. Quickly breaking the seal and opening the scroll, Sarutobi felt his breath caught in shock at the detailed listing of all the Uchiha Council members, ninja force and civilian members. He even recognized the names of a few Uchiha children that were only recently born. The words, innocent, were listed next to their names. Sarutobi gave a snort. Apparently the eye had a sense of humor. The names were all grouped under 3 categories: members that are with the Uchiha's plan, members that do not know about the plan, and members that are against the Uchiha's plan. Surprisingly, the category of those that were against the plans or does not know of the plans at all were much longer than of those that were with the plan. Detailed outlines of what some of the elders or council members had plotted as well as the orders they had issued were also included into the scroll. For a brief moment, Sarutobi allowed relief to sweep over him. With the scroll and its details, he knew what to do now. Bear. Get the rest of the Konoha Council members. Alert the Anbu after that, tell them the emergency plan is set into motion. We're striking tomorrow night. Sarutobi said grimly, with the weight of his office on his shoulders.